What's going on, YouTube? Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate it. Usually I have the Facebook and the YouTube live, but today it's just YouTube because I've been banned for maybe a month on Facebook. I don't know. They didn't really tell me, but it's all gravy. I'm going to take this video, then I'm going to syndicate it on Facebook, and that's what it is. We'll just have to do it a little bit different for now. And shout out to everybody who's missed the live streams. A lot of people say, hey, you got to go live. You got to go live. Here we are. I've been focusing on other stuff, but that's what it is. I want to talk about, I put this together multiple things. I photoshopped like the screaming person, but also I covered up the gun because I figured with that emoji or she's holding a gun there, I didn't want to get like flagged and get more censored. So that's the new lieutenant governor of optics check. But anyway, I want to talk about why it happened, because I feel like obviously the media and the Democrats are out of touch, but hopefully to people who are moderate and normal and still listening, we can explain why this is going on and how to, perhaps rebuild and get better. And I think what I want to say is people are coming in. Thank you guys for being here. I'm going to put this phone down here so it doesn't distract me. But I think a lot of people think in their head, like everybody's this way or this way. Like I know when I talk to people on the right who make excuses for weak Republicans, pathetic Republicans, they say, well, they have to pander to these people, right? They have to do that or else they're going to lose this vote. But when it comes to the injection, I'm not going to talk about it too much today because I want to talk about the election, not the injection. But when it comes to the injection, out of people I know that got it, they don't want COVID to last forever. They're tired of hearing about it. I would say the heavy majority, whether they're vaccinated or unvaccinated, the heavy majority of Americans are tired of hearing about it. They're tired of living like peasants. Everybody's tired of it. I know people who got it, didn't. Everybody's like, they're looking for a real leader, but the Democrats have gone totally insane. They're just psychotic, medical authoritarian psychos. And the right are like, fake light. They just balance the book, sell the jab, and just run around the country, just doing like bare minimum and not even talking about like all the downsides of what's going on. So that's what I want to say. And I think yesterday was a little optimistic. That shows people that most people are not like CNN or MSNBC and like the social media companies and stuff. Most even moderate Democrats and most, I would say, Republicans who are into this stuff are tired of it. And I think Virginia is proof of that. This is a swing state that could go either way. And I would say that's a big message. The governor went Republican. The lieutenant governor went Republican. The attorney general went Republican, which is huge for crime and the policing in that state. And also, a lot of people didn't report this, but I did on Twitter. There's something called the House of Delegates, and they needed 5 people to tie, 6 Republicans to flip it, to change, and 6 more Republicans won. So all the Republicans held in their district and 6 Republicans won in previously Democrat-run districts. So now the House of Delegates is even Republican. It was a full-blown sweep from left to right. And I know a lot of people are not happy with the Republican Party and how weak they've been, and I agree. But this is a sign to show you like how to win an election and also where to go from here. People are rejecting a certain thing. So I want to read a Tulsi Gabbard tweet, and then I also want to play this really crazy clip from MSNBC because these people are losing their minds. But Tulsi came out, who's, I would say, one of the only sane Democrats left. She tweeted today, McAuliffe's loss is a victory for all Americans. Why? Because it was a resounding rejection of efforts to divide us by race, the stripping of parental rights, and arrogant, deaf leaders. This benefits us all. I think she's on her way out of office, so she just doesn't care anymore. But she's just like, listen, this is a great win for America. And she's talking about the Democrats losing to a Republican because she's not a total, think what you want about her. She's not a total psychopath. She has a soul. And I don't think she has it in her to be this fake. Like, before we play the clip, it's one thing if you like Kennedy. It's one thing if you like Nixon. Like, this isn't the 1950s, 60s, 70s, whenever they were running. It's like, these people have lost their minds. You have to be pretty fake or pretty angry or pretty like distraught to act like what they're doing is normal. Even if you want to vote for Democrat and you hate Republicans and you're like a traditional liberal, it takes a certain type of person to lie through their teeth as much as they're doing now. So respect to Tulsi, who's like, listen, this is my party, but like, this is a win for America. Let's play this clip from MSNBC because it's really telling of what they are. They're nothing. They have no agenda. They have no policies anymore. They have no vote for me because of this. It's all fear, and they want to talk about the Capitol in Charlottesville for the rest of their lives. Because if they could scare the crap out of people enough with this, fear rhetoric, then nobody will realize that the Democrats have literally nothing to offer. And this comes from somebody I've been very critical of the Republican Party. I don't think they're perfect. I think they've been pretty weak and pathetic, but the Democrats are like nothing. They have nothing to offer. Listen to Nicole Wallace on MSNBC. I don't even know who she is. I doubt very many people do. These people are not very popular anymore, but it's worth a listen how stupid they are. Let's play.
I think we know the answer to some of this. I watched Glenn Youngkin's interviews on Fox News, and he did nothing but he did not. I mean, he worshipped at the altar of Donald Trump on Fox News. He flew an insurrection flag at his rallies. He simply didn't. He played dumb about a Zoom rally. He did not really put much distance between himself and Donald Trump on the big lie or the deadly insurrection in which police officers were maimed by flagpoles. So I think that the real ominous thing is that critical race theory, which isn't real, turned the suburbs 15 points to the Trump insurrection endorsed Republican. What do Democrats do about it?
So that's their narrative on like mainstream Democrat media is insurrection. He didn't distance himself as much for the insurrection. And here's what I want to say to MSNBC or CNN or Democrats. I don't know how many still listen to this platform, but okay, let's meet halfway. Okay, I'll be willing to meet you halfway just to get my point across. Let's say the insurrection on January 6th is everything that you thought it was. It's as bad as you think it was. It was horrible. You also have to work in, and this is just me for the point of this conversation, meeting them halfway. On March 2020, the entire planet shut down. Millions of people lost their job. Childhood obesity went up. Millions of people lost their stability. Millions of people were force masked, force injected, being like the whole world changed in March 2020. And when you watch MSNBC or CNN, they want to act like it's not even a part of the equation. Like it's so elitist for them to just talk about one day where politicians were inconvenienced and perhaps, in a bad situation. Even if I fully agreed with them on how dire and horrible it was, it's such a pompous, elitist, arrogant attitude that they have, as if like nothing else happened in the last 2 years. And our entire platform is going to revolve around whether Glenn Youngkin, said what we wanted him to say about that day. What about taxes? They don't want to talk about it because they're the worst. On every level of every policy ever, they have nothing to offer the average American. So they have to keep a Charlottesville or a January 6th alive as long as possible because they have nothing without it. So moving on in the future, don't give them one of these type of events. Don't follow Donald Trump, the vaccine salesman, to the Capitol. They want you to do that because they need something like that to brainwash people into thinking that there's something that they have to offer that Republicans don't. And I don't even like the Republican Party. I feel like they're, sucking up big pharma money on the high levels. They are, flip-floppy on the masks, et cetera. But if you went down every actual policy, like, okay, taxes, who's generally better? The Republicans. They're stealing less of your money. Now Joe Biden wants to steal your unrealized capital gains. People don't even know what that means a lot of times, especially younger people. But it means like if your money goes up in the stock market or your property value goes up, they can steal your money even though you've never sold it. So they're taking money that you don't even have that's not even guaranteed because the markets fluctuate. It's total theft. And in a way, I want to say this to Republicans who are freaking out about this stuff. I think although it's a horrible thing, it's actually a blessing in disguise because all taxes are theft. Property taxes, they're stealing your money. Sales taxes, they're stealing your money. Income taxes, they're certainly stealing your money. We got to stop getting robbed. So I know everybody wants to talk about Trump or Biden or left or right, but the Republicans tax too much and the Democrats tax too much. And they're thieves. They're like glorified robber barons in both parties. And they don't give a crap about you. They're raising billions, sucking up money like donor money. It's a big circus. Although some players are better than others, it's a big circus that we need to address. But the good thing about the unrealized capital gains is they're not pretending to not steal your money anymore. They can kind of mask it with, oh, we're going to build roads and okay, stop stealing my money. Give me a month. I guarantee you I could fund every road in the country via GoFundMe. We don't need you to steal our money to pave roads. But anyway, they're not pretending to be anything else. They're like, yeah, we're going to take the money you don't even have. So hopefully this is a wake-up call to the American people, that Janet Yellen situation, because I think people think they're not robbing us and they are robbing us. So now that they're like in broad daylight robbing you and not pretending to not rob you, hopefully people realize what taxes are. And I feel that way about Biden too. Before I get back to the election, Biden is by far, I would say, the worst president ever, the furthest gone president ever with all this build back better, COVID restriction stuff, the most authoritarian president we've ever had. He's also the least impressive president we've ever had. I don't know about Jimmy Carter, whatever. You could look back, but he could probably talk and have a conversation. Like Joe Biden is a pathetic president. But it's almost also a blessing in disguise because this is who the American regime is. They give you these puppets that make it seem like it's not, like George Bush and he puts on a cowboy hat and everyone's like, oh man, George Bush is so cool. He's just like me. He likes the Dixie Chicks, and then the Dixie Chicks don't like him, whatever. But he's then starting wars in the Middle East and passing a fake Patriot Act and making conservatives think he's one of you, but he's really not. And he fooled people for a long time. And then people were pissed off at George Bush because everybody realized it was a grift and a lie. And then they say, well, Obama is a half black president. He's new, he's fresh. And then Obama fooled a lot of people because, he's a smooth sailor. I don't like Obama's policies, but I would say he's a smooth liar. He's a smooth, character. And then everybody got sick of Obama. So then they give you Donald Trump, this supposed outside businessman who totally won't sell you out in the end and cave to Big Pharma and work for Bill Gates. Now he's on your team. He'll never take pharmacy money except for when he did and ran around the country selling their product. But ignore that because he's your guy. And then they give you Biden, and it's almost like they ran out of room because Trump was a smooth character, Obama was a smooth character, Bush was a smooth character, Clinton was a smooth character, and Biden's not a smooth character. But the blessing in disguise is that's who the American regime really is at this point. And I love America. I love our country, but our government, our bloated government that's trillions of dollars in debt, constantly stealing our money, constantly hating us because they don't have to like us because they know at a certain point they can control both parties. And at a certain point, they don't have to pretend to like us because they're stealing our money every year through taxes and funding themselves, whether we like it or not. We're not allowed to opt out. Amazon, say what you want. I could opt out. YouTube, say what you want. I could opt out. Facebook, say what you want. I can opt out. I can't opt out of taxes. That's why our government's so cocky, because they know that they're going to get the money next year. There's not a single other entity like that besides federal governments and local governments. But in general, Biden is what the regime looks like. So stop pretending like you're going to get Trump back in, or, oh, it's just no, this is 50 years of America, and it looks like Biden. They ran out of room. They're just not even smooth anymore. And it's kind of a good thing because it's like, okay, face the problem. It looks like Biden. It's funny that people are saying he pooped himself. I'm not saying Biden really pooped himself because I don't know that that's true, and I don't want to be dishonest. But if you guys remember before Facebook took my live streams, I've been saying, everyone's like, what do you think of Biden? You don't talk about Biden enough. And I said, I don't respect Biden enough to talk about him. I don't think he's really running the show as far as like his advisors are probably doing the work. He's like sitting up there. And I've been saying for months, one day he's going to poop his pants and that's going to be the day he's out of the White House. That was a joke, obviously. But also the dude is old and seems pretty senile. So pooping the pants is not out of the equation at his age and brain capacity. So now it's like a big thing. Everyone's talking about him pooping his pants. I'm not saying I invented the idea that he would poop his pants, but anybody that watches the Anomaly platform for the last year knows that I've been talking about Biden perhaps pooping his pants in the future for months now. I just found that fascinating. But they need to, like I played with that clip, they need to have this Charlottesville January 6th angle. That's all they have. Okay, you've talked about that for a year. Let's put that aside. Let's pretend that I agree with you completely on that. And you're totally right. Okay. What's your tax policy? They don't talk about it because it sucks. What's your forced masking policy? I disagree with you on forced masking. I disagree with you on forced vaccination. I disagree with the Democrats on how to solve the police issue and the crime issue. Every issue. And they're so weak that they don't even pretend to have a policy. They're like a bunch of children who are emotional and angry trying to run a party that is so far gone from even what Obama and Clinton had. It's crazy. And this lady, it's interesting because, outside, obviously she's black. So people are going to make a big deal of it. Like a black conservative, they either love her or hate her, but also the optics. I mean, the fact that she was running with the gun, that's just a cool optics. It's the opposite of like Phil Murphy, who looks like he's going to like suck, all the blood out of your neck and the money out of your bank account. Like look, Google Phil Murphy and look at a picture of him. I'm not trying to be rude, but it's like, the difference between like a base Jamaican woman holding a gun and Phil Murphy is like night and day. I'm like, ooh, I'm not trying to be rude, but it reminds me of like sleep paralysis. If you've ever had sleep paralysis or you've Googled it and see what it looks like, kind of looks like that. But anyway, it's like even with her, they're trying to make it like a whole thing. This is like obvious. I shouldn't even have to talk about it. But you have Ebro in the morning. He's this loser radio host who's like, oh my God, she's a black woman carrying white supremacy. And it's like, first of all, Ebro's like, I think half black and half Jewish. His mom's Jewish or whatever. It doesn't matter. We love all people here, you know, black, white, Jewish, Asian, Hispanic. But it's like, it's just so weird to me, these like half white or half Jewish and half black people, like Colin Kaepernick is like half white, raised by white people, like white people saved his life, put him in a great community. And then he's like Malcolm X all of a sudden. And then like Jordan Peele, like white mom, raised him in the nice area of New York so he could be a little NYU hipster. I love Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele, Key and Peele is one of my favorite things. They're so funny. But it's like they got all this white rage against Karens. It's like Jesse Lee Peterson says, you got to come to terms with your parents. You got to love yourself. You got to love your parents, and you got to forgive your parents. And, you know, I just find it fascinating that Ebro is talking about white supremacy. Like this Jamaican woman, I'm pretty sure is like 100% Jamaican. And Ebro's like half black, but all of a sudden he's like, you know, he thinks he's like leading. He's Marcus Garvey, you know, leading the pack to the promised land. It's like, it's such an elitist thing to do, to sit on a radio show and just beat down at working class white people or conservative black people who are feeling the heat of this pandemic. It's not the billionaires who are feeling the pressure. It's the working class. The billionaires are growing their wealth exponentially. They're killing it. It's the working people that are getting hit the hardest. And the Democrats don't talk to them at all. Like that's why they're losing. So that's my message to loser Ebro in the morning, who nobody likes. It's crazy. Loser CNN and MSNBC, who are getting beaten by, you know, Newsmax, which is pathetic for them. Like nobody likes them. I do a TikTok. I just like sing a song or something, or do like a little, you know, I like talk about this book, COVID-19, The Great Reset, which is getting me banned, or this book, How to Lie with Statistics. I'm not just exaggerating for clicks. I posted about this and they took away my Facebook, live streams for a month. I posted about this and they took away my TikTok. TikTok censors it more than anybody, but it's like in general, my TikToks get like 500, 2 million views. Don Lemon can't even get like 600,000 views. These people are pathetic and no one likes them. And then when they share their stuff on Twitter, nobody's sharing it like, oh man, Don Lemon's really wise. Everybody's sharing it. It's like conservatives laughing at how dumb you are. Imagine being Don Lemon or Brian Stelter. Like 90% of people who share your stuff don't even like you. Like 99% of people who share my stuff actually like me. And then there's people who just complain. But like, no, like you're getting beaten by Newsmax. The reason is because you're not speaking to anybody. You have this elitist attitude. Like, let's talk about an event that didn't affect 99.99% of people that bothered us. And it's like, okay, let's talk about it. I agree. That day was a mess. It was a total mess. Okay, now what? There is no now what for them, because if they ever had to talk about real issues, people would realize that they don't stand for anything of value. They need to talk about race all the time. They need to talk about Charlottesville. It's like, they're so happy that January 6th happened. You think that they're mad at that? What would they be talking about if they didn't talk about that? They'd have to talk about their forced masking policy, which is authoritarian, Orwellian, and evil. They'd have to talk about their forced injection policy, which scientifically, I'm sorry, doesn't make any sense, because the data is showing that you could still get it or spread it. So how are you going to protect grandma when there's vaccinated politicians all over the world getting COVID-19? Because the product that they have originally told you probably would protect you from it, they're now telling you that the best they can do is like, you know, protect you from hospitalizations, maybe. And we'll see how that data fares out. But in general, it's like, okay, let's talk about the forced vaccination policy. Let's talk about taxes. Let's talk about crime. How are we going to solve crime? Oh, the suburbs. What's her name? The loser from MSNBC. She said the suburbs are voting for Trumpism because of the January 6th insurrection. Like, what are you talking about? Like, no working people of any race know what you're talking about. It's like, if you live in Virginia, you watch MSNBC and they're talking about the horned hat guy from the January 6th. Like, do you think that's what suburban moms are afraid of? A horned hat, like QAnon supporter running through their neighborhood? Like, nobody's afraid of that, whether you like that guy or not. Like, no one's afraid of that guy committing crime in their neighborhood. I'm sorry. He's not like a huge thought of like the working person. Like, they go to bed. Only if you watch too much CNN, you're getting haunted in your sleep by that guy. Like, he's like, Trump won the election. And everyone's like, oh my God, crime is rising in Richmond because of the horned hat guy from the QAnon documentary. It's like, no, that's not what they see. They have local news. They could see who's committing the crimes. They could see what, demographic, whether it be political or racial or gender, they could see where the crime is coming from and where the spikes are coming from. And people in the suburbs don't want the safe suburbs to turn into the major cities like Richmond, which are getting more and more violent. Everybody sees it. You can't lie that much. It's like, okay, you can have an opinion on the horned hat guy and maybe we'll agree, maybe we'll disagree. But overall, like, that's not the big thing. If you run a lumber company in Richmond and the price of wood is going up and the price of gas is going up and you're wondering how you're going to pay for rent next month, your thought is not, remember that guy from the QAnon documentary who really scared, like, nobody thinks that way. So have your opinion on the horned hat guy, have your opinion on January 6th, document it and tell the truth about it. Say Orange Man bad a million times. I don't care. But talk about something of value. They don't have anything to offer. Nothing. Democrats have nothing to offer. When it comes to theft of money, they're the ones raising the taxes. They're the ones stealing your money. They're the ones taking more from your bank account. When it comes to forced masking, Democrats are worse. When it comes to forced injections, Democrats are worse. When it comes to crime, Democrats are worse. They want to take one video out of context and then say that we should defund the police. Okay, do it. I mean, do it in a liberal city. You want to do it in Seattle? Oh, you're not going to be able to because a Republican one, not for mayor, but I believe the head attorney is now a Republican in Seattle. They're even voting for that in Seattle. I wonder why. Because not everybody's dumb. It's like, okay, regardless of what you think of the George Floyd situation, should we pull all the money out of the police? Do it in a city that I don't live in and let the city go to hell and everybody else will laugh at you. And then you're going to have to figure out what to do. So it's like the reason that Democrats are losing is because they are totally in their own asses. It's equivalent to like the Met Gala. I think that was the perfect imagery of the year. Perhaps the greatest thing was the Democrat politician at the Met Gala, which cost God knows how much money to attend. And she's standing there in a social justice and women's rights dress, looking so luxurious and so great. She's smiling because she doesn't wear a mask. And behind her, all of the female employees that make less money than her and are there to be her little slave, or her little slaves, they're all forced to wear masks. And I guarantee you they had to get a vaccine too. So it's like, there is no equality with these Democrats. This is who they are. They are such elitists. They say, hee, I'm going to smile with my $10,000 ticket or however it's called. But you, the peasant, you need to stay masked for the rest of your life, whether you're vaccinated or not. This is who these people are. So when they talk about January 6th, I agree that it was a sloppy day. And I didn't go because Trump's a vaccine salesman. So the smartest thing I ever did was have the common sense and wisdom to look at a guy who's selling Moderna on his Twitter every day, like Bill Gates Jr., and say, I don't trust that fat vaccine salesman. Excuse me, I don't mean to fat shame, but Donald Trump is a disgusting vaccine salesman, and he doesn't give a crap about his own base. It's all about me all the time now. He's such a loser. At the 1 yard line, he decided to be a total sneak. But anyway, I didn't go to that event, but okay, that was the politicians being majorly inconvenienced for a day, which you could say is horrible. It's the worst thing in the world. But what about the fact that the American people had to deal with this in Minneapolis, or wherever the hell the George Floyd riots were, Los Angeles, they were all over the world, New York City, businesses were being burned. Okay, did you talk about that too? So you say, okay, January 6th is bad, but this is also bad. They don't do that. They're elitists. They only care when it inconveniences them. That was my takeaway from January 6th, whether I agree with what happened or not, or you're this or that, or is the worst day ever, or they're exaggerating. It's like the only reason that they gave a shit was because it happened to them. Usually they sit in their ivory towers out in the middle of nowhere and they don't see what's happening in Minneapolis because they're not poor, working class, or, moderately rich. So they live far, far away from all the chaos. And they didn't give one single shit when Minneapolis burned to the ground. They didn't give one single shit when Los Angeles burned to the ground. In fact, they were trying to defend it and bail people out of jail. So it's even elitist to talk about January 6th all the time. Even if you think it was bad for our democracy, it's like the lopsided coverage of when it affects me versus when it affects the plebs. It's becoming so obvious and it's annoying. So the reason the Democrats are losing, if they still watch this channel or care to get better, is because they're so pompous, they're so elitist, they're so authoritarian, their tax policy sucks, their crime policy sucks. Every single policy they're probably worse on, and the average person is starting to pick up on it. And the average person doesn't want everybody to be forced vaccinated. And the average mask wearer doesn't want people to have to wear a mask. And this is my message once again, real quick, to Republicans, because Republicans make excuses for Donald Trump because he's their idol. And he has to do this. He has to do this. I know lots of people who are vaccinated. Almost all of them, I would say literally almost all of them, dozens of people, they don't want to force other people to get it, and they don't want to force other people to wear a mask, and they're tired of hearing about it. You think that even the average flu vaccine taker wants to hear about it every single day? No, you either get the flu vaccine or you don't. You get the COVID shot or you don't. They don't want their whole life to, everybody's sick of it. Everybody's tired of it. Democrats are tired of it. Republicans are tired of it. Vaccinated people are tired of it. Unvaccinated people are tired of it. And I'll tell you this, I know people don't want to hear it, but I don't really give a crap. The reason Donald Trump is selling the vaccine is not to get votes, because it's not helping him get votes. The reason Donald Trump is selling the vaccine, overselling it so hard, is not to please both sides, because the left hates him and they're never going to like him. The reason he's doing it, check his bank account, check his campaign bank account. How many millions of dollars did he get from Big Pharma? He's number 2 on the list. Biden got about 8 million and Donald Trump got over 2 million. So this is how politics works. I know you think that it doesn't work this way because he's your fan, but that's how it works. When I did a forbidden clothing a sales pitch, at the end of my thing, I'm just being honest, I didn't do it for free. I did it because I like them. I determined that company was ethical and moral, and I like the CEO enough to do it, but they gave me an amount of money and I did an ad for them. Okay. And they gave me, compared to what Donald Trump got from Big Pharma, way less. Obviously, this is not like a lobbying deal. This is like a one-off shirt deal. So that's how business works, guys. I know you don't want to think it does, because when your guy does it, it just seems like he never did it. He sold you out. So he took millions of dollars from Pfizer, from Big Pharma, from all of them. He did deals. He struck deals with the government, with them, the CARES Act, the PrEP Act. He's striking all these deals, some that are enriching his own campaign, some that are probably enriching his stocks, and also some that are enriching his little business ventures that he's doing. So that's why he's selling it. Because when you get $2.5 million from Big Pharma, they don't give you money just for fun. They give you money to make a sale. So now you run around the country like a little puppet, Donald Trump the puppet, selling this product. It doesn't free our country. It does the opposite. It doesn't help Republicans. It does the opposite. It doesn't help them gain more votes. It's just making him look like an idiot and a clown and a loser, which is what he is. So don't make excuses for it. He's doing it because he got paid to do it. And when you guys don't realize that happens, they keep doing it. They like the left to right fight. Yeah, the liberals suck for sure. That's what they do. But the Republicans just have more substance to their campaign. The Democrats have like zero substance. So there's no reason. Let's get them out of the equation. There's no reason to ever vote for Democrats. They have nothing to offer you. Maybe if you like to smoke weed, they'll legalize marijuana and then tax the shit out of it or something. But outside of that, if that's not your thing, there's nothing Democrats can do for you. But now you go to the Republican side, all these conservative accounts, all they do is just hype it up, and that's cool. But we need to, as a party, start being self-aware and self-accountable, or else we're going to turn into the Democrat lights. And that's what we're doing. So I'm very glad that Young Kim won. I'm very glad that Republicans swept in Virginia. I'm very disappointed with how New Jersey ended up, but we'll see if they do a recount there or whatever. Jack did a great job, ran a great campaign, seemed like a super nice guy. But in general, moving forward, one, we don't need to pander so much to win. I think in Virginia, the parents, the school stuff, the forced masking, the education stuff, that's a big one. That's a message that's going to reach the country. We don't need to pretend like we're, wear the mask and blah. It's like, no. Most people want to go back to normal. 2022 say, we're going to go back to normal. Do what you want. We're going back to normal. That's got to be the message. Like a Ron DeSantis or a Rand Paul, that's a winning message. Not Donald Trump running around the country, polarizing people, but not even giving us anything. At least when he was making fun of Rosie O'Donnell, it was funny and true. I had his back for 3.5 years. He's telling the truth. I don't care how polarizing he is, right? He's the leader of the party. I don't care how polarizing. He was honest. That's why I had Donald Trump's back. He was a truth teller and he was honest. So I'll take the heat. I'll take the backlash. I don't care. I'm going to back Donald Trump when it's the right thing to do. He's not honest anymore. He's not a righteous man anymore. He's a big pharma salesman who sounds like a used car salesman, who sounds like he's demoralized because he has a soul and he's a good guy. And he knows he's a phony baloney right now. So when you hear him in interviews, he sounds like a little boy. Listen to him on Bill O'Reilly. He has no confidence. He's a shameful man, and he knows he's a shameful man because he doesn't have the truth on his side anymore. So once Donald Trump gets the truth on his side again, I'll have his back. But until then, he's not even a top 50 Republican right now, should be laughed and mocked out of the party. And that's how we win in 2022. And I'll tell you this, and I've said this a few times, but I want to make it very clear, and maybe this will kind of spark a light in people's brains. If I ran around the country saying, the vaccine's amazing, I saved 100 million lives, I'm the father of the vaccine, people would laugh me out of my social media account. Everybody would hate me. Everybody would ratio me 100 comments to 1. Rightfully so, because I don't think it saved 100 million lives. I think Donald Trump's a liar, and he's just a used car salesman trying to make himself look great for his little Fauci Bill Gates deal that he pulled. Little scum boy. But in general, people would laugh me out of the movement if I did what he did. Rightfully so. If DC Drano did that, everybody would laugh him out of the Republican movement. If Candace Owens did that, everybody would laugh him out of the conservative movement. If any major Republican influencer did what Donald Trump is doing, they would be mocked, laughed at, and kicked out of the party. The only person that's allowed to get away with these wicked ways, these lies, and these degenerate big pharma Bill Gates, lies that he's allowed to pull is because he's Donald Trump. And people just get down and say, well, I'm going to make excuses for it. He's playing 50,000 dimensional chess and he's arresting No, he's not. And he gets away with it because you incentivize it. If you said no, it all goes away. It's the same thing with the mask or the vaccine. Oh, I'm going to get 2 vaccination shots and then it's all going to go away. I wish it worked like that for your sake. But what's going on is you're not agreeing to get 2 shots. If you say you can give me 2 shots in order to keep my job, that's not the little pact you're making. They're going to do booster shots, and they could do booster shots every 6 months or every year. And if they can mandate 2 shots, they can mandate 3 and 4 and 5 and 20 and 30 and 50 and 100. So that's what they're doing. So you're not signing up for 2 shots. You're pledging allegiance to get vaccinated with the COVID-19 booster shot for the rest of your life, or they could kick you out of society. And if that doesn't frighten you, or that doesn't make you motivated to say no, then I don't know what will, because it's a lifetime contract that you're signing. So that's the game they're playing. You have to say no, or else it lasts forever. The Democrats that live in liberal cities that are fully vaccinated, that listen to Fauci and the psycho Rochelle Walensky and all these people, guess what? They have more restrictions than me. They're wearing the mask more often than me. They're being locked down more often than me. On every level of freedom and prosperity, they're lower than I am. Why? Because they're listening to these authoritarian psychopaths. I told you, even if you're pro-mask and pro-vaccine, if you ever want to take it off or go back to normal, you can't live around these psycho-democrats, because the more you do, the more they take. It's not like you listen and they give it back. It's the opposite. The more you listen, the less you get. So the most free areas are the people who aren't listening to these people. That's the way it works. And it's the same thing with Donald Trump. If you want him to be a piece of trash, if you want him to be a liar, if you want him to suck up big pharma money and be a clown on television and do nothing and be 1/80th as impressive as DeSantis like he is now, then keep clapping for him. If you want Donald Trump to return to full form and be 2016 to 2018 Donald Trump, you have to do the same thing you do with the mask and the jab. You have to eventually say no to him, and he's going to learn. He's heard no in business meetings. He's heard no in television and show business. He's heard no in politics. He's heard no in his personal life. He's not a god. He's not your little idol worship. He's not a crystal that you hold at night and you say demonic spells to. You have to say no to this guy, and he'll return to full form. And I don't know. I think everybody knows what I'm saying is true now. But in general, all the people that tried to harass me and dox me and lie about me, I don't even care. But here's what I want to say. In life, there's 2 types of people, okay? There's the type that says, hey, Anomaly, you got some sauce on your face, right? If I have sauce on my face, it might be a little embarrassing for me, but you say, Anomaly, you got some sauce on your face. You saved me an hour worth of embarrassment. I say, yo, thank you so much. And then you have a yes man who says, oh, Anomaly, you look amazing. Oh, you look perfect. And then I go take pictures, at the press. And then they say, yo, Anomaly looks like an idiot, okay? Anomaly looks like a dummy. he had shit on his face. A real man or a real friend or a real woman will tell you that you do, not because they hate you, because they love you and they want you to not look like a fool. Donald Trump sounds like a fool on Bill O'Reilly. He looks like a fool at his rallies. He's getting booed in Alabama. Why is he getting booed in Alabama? Because he's acting a fool. So if you tell him he's acting a fool, he'll probably stop acting a fool. But if you keep clapping for him and making memes and brainwashing people into thinking he's perfect when he's not, you're incentivizing his wicked, immoral behaviors. You're actually complicit in it. A real man, a real woman, and a real friend tells you when something's wrong. I would want you to do the same thing to me. If my favorite band, I'm not going to say Green Day is my favorite band, but I do love them because one of the members invited me to one of their shows. If they would have had forced vaccination and forced mask, guess what? They're not my favorite band anymore. Yes, I love their songs. I like their music. But if they're corny, they're corny. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel. You're not going to be my favorite rapper or your favorite band if your message is trash and you're doing some scummy authoritarian stuff. Well, guess what? I went to their show. No mask mandate, no vaccine mandate, no anything mandate. And guess what? I love them now because when they were on stage, they were telling people to put their phone down and enjoy themselves in the moment. And they didn't bother anybody. Now with these loser Rage Against the Machine, they're not my favorite band anymore. So Donald Trump, he's not even close to my favorite politician. He sucks, okay? Rand Paul says, I have natural immunity. I don't want to get it. Donald Trump says, I have natural immunity, but I got on my knees and got it anyway. And now I'm going to go to Alabama and sell it. It's like, okay, loser, you're doing nothing for people. He's so selfish. He doesn't care about parents. He doesn't care about kids being forced masks. He barely talks about medical tyranny at all. It's not because he's playing 5D chess. It's not because he has a secret plan for you. It's because he's an egotistical, self-centered person who doesn't give a shit about his base and can get away with it. He can raise $250 million to fight the election fraud, and nobody even knows where that money goes. 99% of the people who donated to it have no idea how he used it. Go to Cernovich's Twitter. Ask him how he used it. No one knows because it probably didn't go to anything that you think it did. And he's still making a killing and a fortune, and people are just dumping money into it. So you're incentivizing his wicked and deceitful behavior. So that's my message to whatever it is, the mask, this or that. The only way to stop it is to be a real person and be a strong American and say no. Because right now, there's no way in hell that I'm going to support him in the primaries. I will support Rand Paul, DeSantis, Candace Owens, anybody that takes medical tyranny seriously over him. And in 2022, I really think that Republicans are favorites to sweep the House and sweep the Senate. And that's going to be massive in really getting our country to leave us alone with the medical stuff. And I think that has to be a real driving message. If he comes back into the picture and just draws a bunch of negative attention to inspire the other side to vote, but doesn't offer that 2016 pump that he did in 2016, it's like, I'm over it. But congratulations to Glenn Youngkin. Congratulations to her. Congratulations to Virginia. Congratulations to Jack from New Jersey. Whether he wins or not, he ran a great campaign. And I hope that this proves a few things. One, we still can win elections. You definitely want to make them fair. You definitely want voter ID. You definitely don't want them counting ballots at 2 a.m. I'm not for that at all. But this proves that we can win elections. This proves that we can get people into office. But once we do, we have to hold them accountable. We have to. Someone said a TDS relapse. It's strategy. You have to understand we've gained so much in the Republican Party. We've made so much progress. There's so much stuff. But there's this hidden layer of like, okay, we got into office for 4 years, right? Where did we end up? We ended up in a lockdown. We ended up with mass mail-in ballots. This didn't happen under Obama or Biden. This happened under Trump. It's not to say that he's 100% to blame, but I do think that we have to take self-accountability ourselves. I don't blame Trump or Biden or Obama for my life. My life was great under Obama. My life was great under Trump. My life is great under Biden. He's making it harder for me, but that's okay. I'm not a complainer. I'm going to go get mine and do what I have to do. I don't use excuses, but in general, if we want to, as a group, right now we're a group, we're the Republican Party, we're MAGA, whatever you want to call yourself, we need to be self-accountable and self-aware too. The Democrats suck, but the reason they suck psychologically is because they have no self-awareness and they have no self-accountability. They're horrible. They're liars. They're dishonest. They do nothing right. It's embarrassing how bad they've become, but they do it because they have no self-accountability and no self-awareness. So now that we have all this stuff going for us, we have to be self-accountable and we have to be self-aware. And this is all I'm asking for MAGA. And I'm saying this because to me, this is the most important. We agree on 99.9% of stuff. We're making traction, but The future of America relies on just treat Donald Trump the same way you would treat me, Candace Owens, DC Drano, or any of these Republican influencers. Treat him the same exact way. If I said that, or Drano said that, or Candace Owens said that, or Rand Paul said that, or Ted Cruz said that, or Mitch McConnell said that, or Kristi Noem said that, treat Donald Trump the same way. That's all I'm asking. Treat him like a human being, treat him with respect and love, but do not treat him like he is your king, your God, because he is abusing that power, and he's been abusing it for years. And he's the front runner to win the Republican Party. I can't trust him less. He had power in 2020. He worked with Fauci. He worked with Gates. He signed the PrEP Act, and he's ran around the country bragging about his product. He never says what Marjorie Taylor Greene says, or what Candace Owens says, or what I say, or what Ian Smith says. All the Republicans tell people, listen, whether you get it or not, that's up to you. But they have no liability. Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, Trump, Biden, whoever, they have no legal liability for side effects, injuries, or deaths under the PrEP Act and under the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act. They are immune from liability. Every Republican says that. Do you know why they say that? Because it's the truth, and they care about you, and they're tired of the medical tyranny. You know who doesn't say that? You know who's the only Republican in power that everybody looks up to that doesn't say that? Donald Trump. Do you know why? He's the vaccine salesman. That's his baby. He likes it more than you. He doesn't care about the truth. He's protecting Big Pharma, and he got millions from them. He's a disgraceful leader, but he gets away with it because people look up to him. So that's all I ask. Treat him the same way you treat me. Be skeptical, say the truth, speak the truth. And that's how the Republican Party is on the right direction. We're already on the right direction, but I'm telling you, we got to get a whole heck of a lot tougher, and we got to get a whole heck of a lot stronger, because it looks like we're going to come back into power again. And when we do, we can end up in another lockdown. That's what happened in 2020. We ended up in a lockdown. We ended up in mass mail-in ballots. Elections got worse. Riots got worse. And our leader just like morphed into like a weak, pathetic salesman instead of being the man he was in 2018. I don't know why that happened, but you know, if the base demands it, we have more power than people realize. In Loudoun County in Virginia, they could try to call you a terrorist. They could try to lie about you. They could try to smear your name. But at the end of the day, if you're speaking the truth, people are going to feel it. And Virginia, you know, the tribe has spoken, as they said in Survivor. You know, what do they say? The tribe has spoken, goodbye, or whatever. The tribe has spoken. That's how people feel. You could lie about it on television, but the people spoke with their vote, and the people also spoke with their voices at the meeting. And that's happening all around the world. So don't deny yourself this power that you just have to, you know, you just have to sit there and watch both parties suck up Big Pharma money. You have to watch both parties come together and spend trillions of dollars, because they're not going to stop doing it. Trump's not going to stop doing it. DeSantis is not going to stop doing it. It doesn't mean that it's all his fault, but you get what you want in life. You know, as an individual, if you allow your wife or your spouse or your husband or your friend to abuse you or they don't have to stop, because you're allowing it and incentivize it by saying, you know, I don't have a line in the sand. Do whatever you want to me, whether it's your teacher, your boss. Yeah, go ahead, do whatever. I'm a weakling. I'm a pushover. If you act like that, people are going to take advantage of you. It's not everybody else's fault. It's your fault. You got to draw the line in the sand. And especially in politics, a game where people are getting billions of dollars from donations, from lobbyists, from billionaires. You know, it's the skeeziest industry on the planet. Everybody knows that. It doesn't matter if you like Trump or you like Obama. It's the skeeziest industry on the planet. And it's still skeezy. Nobody fixed it. So just be aware and treat them with the same skepticism you treat your own family. It's like, why you look up to these people more than you even like your own family? Like, you disagree with your family and don't mind saying it, but a politician I can't disagree with. It's like, who told you to act that way? We got to be stronger on these people, because they don't have a plan to fully fix it. But if we show that that's popular as a movement, and we're voting and they're getting all this money and they need us for the power, then they're going to start listening more. So we got to take advantage of our voice. We have a strong voice now. All of the influencers, I would say the culture, and people are saying, well, why do you want to talk about this so much? It's more interesting than me than dunking on Democrats. I already did that for 20 minutes. But in general, this is so much more important because we have the momentum. We're number one on the iTunes charts. We're killing it on Twitter. We're getting more views on Facebook. We're better on Instagram. Conservatives are winning everything. For the first time, we're winning the culture war. We're winning music. Nobody likes these people. We have the power. Maybe not in politics right now, but we have the power, the voice, the movement. So we have it. Everybody, and this is, I'm not trying to be mean or just, you know, beat a dead horse or whatever, but like, Everybody in conservative culture agrees with me. The only one that is being like a scummy, sleazy politician salesman is the guy at the top of the pyramid, Donald Trump. But nobody wants to talk about it. So it's like, I just see this like I saw mandatory vaccines coming 3 years ago. What I see right now is Donald Trump being the front runner. Donald Trump easily can take back over the Republican Party, and he's not to be trusted right now. And the worst dynamic of him is like, if Ted Cruz got into office, everybody would be on Ted Cruz's ass. Nobody really likes Ted Cruz that much. No offense, they like him, but they don't love him. So if Ted Cruz got into office, everybody would be on his ass. If DeSantis got into office, people love him, but people would be on his ass. If Rand Paul got into office, or Kristi Noem got into office, or God forbid freaking Nikki Haley got into office, everybody would be on their ass because nobody loves them that much. But with Donald Trump, people obsess over this guy, so he's the most dangerous candidate. Because if he gets into office, people are going to sit there and act like it's a religion again, and nobody's going to be on his ass. But you have to be on his ass because he's proven time and time again he doesn't share the same values as you. He's not going to say the same things that you're going to doing. And when push comes to shove at the 1 yard line, when America needs it the most, he's not going to have the spine that he pretends to. He's a good actor. He's a good salesman. But when push came to shove, he didn't have our back. So you have to be on his ass. And this is why I talk about it, because he's probably going to coast his way to the top, and he's the most dangerous candidate because he's the one that nobody wants to talk about. I don't even like Ted Cruz, but I think if he won, everybody would be on his ass. You better not do that. You better not mandate masks. You better stop that. And he would have to listen, because all the power in MAGA and all the power in the conservative movement, it comes from us. You know, Trump got big because everybody got behind him. And then he took a turn for the worst, and everyone's acting like he didn't. He did. And he's not changed. Listen to his Bill O'Reilly interview on Fauci. Hey, Bill O'Reilly says, why didn't you fire Fauci? And Trump, just listen to his answer. He's a clown. He's like an actor. He's just like, I didn't give him power. I mean, you know, he's like someone called him P.T. Barnum on my Twitter. And that's exactly who he is. He's a great, guy to sell a vaccine. You give him that, I did it, I saved the world. It's like, he's great at selling something. Like, you give it to him, here's a vaccine. Of course, the efficacy went from 95 to 39. Like, it's this product that we said this, and he gets it, and he tells you that he just saved the whole world. I saved the whole world. The whole planet was saved by my product. Yeah, he's a salesman. And when you actually hold him accountable like Bill O'Reilly did, Bill O'Reilly, say what you want, he's no softy, okay? In fact, he's probably the least soft news host. It's sad that they took him down. But in general, he doesn't care if it's me, you, Cameron. He's going hard at you. He's like Jesse Lee Peterson. He doesn't let you go. He went hard at Trump, and Trump folded like a kitten, okay? So it's time to make sure that we move this in the right direction and people get serious, because there's a big real movement, I would say. Mike Cernovich, myself, Matt Walsh. I'm not saying we agree on everything, because we don't. But like me, Cernovich, even Bryson Gray, Matt Walsh, we all are kind. And Mark Loebner's one. He's a big bodybuilder. He's getting pretty big on Twitter. We're all tired of Trump's bullshit, and we're like real men, so we're not afraid to say it. And everybody else is just like grifting their way. They're like, maybe if I lie about this for a few years, I'll get invited to Mar-a-Lago. Maybe if I lie, I could sell some more Trump merch and make some money on my Instagram. Make your money, make your money. I hope you guys all get $1 million, but you got to stop lying, and you got to stop covering for the great deceiver. Okay. You're incentivizing it. That's my thoughts. Let me know yours. As for the Democrats, just to wrap that up, they don't offer anything. There's nothing they're doing right. They just harp about January 6th for the next 20 years, and they don't care about the working people, taxes, gas, none of that. They make fun of you. They say it doesn't exist and it's coming out of your bank account. They have nothing to offer, but I don't have time to just dunk on them all the time. It's boring. It's low-hanging fruit. I said what I need to say in 20 minutes. I'm concerned about where we're going. We have so much potential, so much momentum. I'm not turning into Canada. I'm not turning into Australia. We have to go with a full open and call these people out. Like, I know I tweeted about it, but Giuliani on Twitter, he was like, let's make a deal. If you have an immunity passport, this is Rudy Giuliani, tough, strong, hard-nosed Rudy Giuliani, right? I like Rudy Giuliani. He says, we shouldn't have vaccine passports, but what we should have is natural immunity passports and weekly testing. It's like, This is weak. It's too weak. I'm not acting like I'm so cool and so tough. Oh, I'm so much tougher than Rudy Giuliani. But I'm sorry, I'm not weak enough to think that this is cool. Rudy Giuliani is going to fight authoritarianism in the medical industry by telling me that I got to carry around a card to show that I have immunity, an immune system or natural immunity. Screw that. You can't beat authoritarianism with authoritarianism. And then he says weekly testing. Also, Rudy, screw that. If this is the toughest we can do, Donald Trump, the vaccine salesman, and Rudy Giuliani, who wants me to carry a pass that I have an immune system, this party is trash. It's better than Democrats. I'll keep voting for these losers, but I'm telling you, we, the people, need to stop idolizing them like they're Tom Brady. They're not, okay? At least Tom Brady can play football and won a Super Bowl. These are not Tom Brady. These are politicians. They do some good, but they're too weak. And I'll tell you why they're too weak. Some of them, they're older and they don't think about this stuff. I'm not trying to be mean, but it's like their whole life they've been just getting shots, so they don't think it's a big deal or something. Or like they're 75, they don't mind wearing a mask. It's like it is a big deal. So I don't know if it's an age thing or they're so elitist that they don't have to wear masks and do this. Like people don't even realize that. I'll give you an example. I'm a music artist and I do shows sometimes. I could have went to a show. I'm not doing it, but I could have went to a show that has a mask mandate, a test mandate, and a vaccine mandate. You know what? If I would have went, I'm not going to say where it was at, but I wouldn't have to wear a mask. I wouldn't have to get a vaccine, and I wouldn't have to get a test. Do you know why? Because I'm performing there. It's an elite system. Well, Anomaly is the performer, so we'll let it slide. But for all of the peasants who want to watch him on stage, I don't think I'm better than you because I rap on a stage. I'm there because it's a human experience. So if I don't have to do it, I don't want you to have to do it. And if they're going to make you do it and not me, I'm not going. But this is how it's elitism. So what I'm saying is, I know people love like Trump and Giuliani, but they're so wealthy and they're so successful, they probably don't have to deal with this shit. So if you work at a nursing office, you have to deal with the shit. If you work at a dentist office, you have to deal with this shit. If you're not a performer like me who gets, paid to go on stage, you have to deal with this shit. But if you're a politician, like you don't have to deal with this shit. The elites and the wealthy that's why they don't care. That's what I'm trying to make people explain. You think they're playing this game where they secretly have a plan. They don't have a plan for you. And this is where self-accountability comes in. In life, you get what you want. I've never had a test. I haven't worn a mask in 4 months. Nobody makes me because I draw a line. There's a line that I draw and nobody does it. And if somebody comes in, I don't accept it. I'll go somewhere else. I don't want to live in Los Angeles. It's hell. I moved and my area is better. But the point I'm getting to is you have to draw a line in the sand. It's not Giuliani's fault. It's your fault. If you clap and be like, no, you have to immediately let them know that's whack. If everybody did that, they wouldn't do that. The only reason they still don't get it is because people have built a religion based around worshiping these political characters like they're fighting the pedophiles when they're probably working with them. Okay? So you got to stop with this fantasy role play game because it makes you feel important and hold them accountable like humans and politicians. If your boss says to do something you don't like and you don't want to do it, at a certain point, you have to stand up for yourself. And same with these politicians. I don't understand why people don't get that. And it's been a year and a half since March. It's been almost 2 years of, restrictions. And the best that one of our strongest Republicans can do, 18 months into 5 days to 15 days to slow the spread, is say, let's get a passport to show we have natural immunity and get weekly testing. That's the best. That's pathetic, Rudy Giuliani. And this is pathetic for any social media influencers that allow this stuff. And I'm not trying to be mean because I like Republican influencers. I love the work they do and I really appreciate it because I can't do everything. And there's some people that I follow that do so much and I'm so grateful for what they do. But I'm starting to really say it, and I'm going to be honest, the reason most Republican voters don't know this is because they're watching Fox News, they're following people on Instagram, they're following people on Facebook, they're following, these big Republican influencers, and I'm the only one who tells the truth about what Republicans aren't doing. They're still stealing your tax money way too much. They're still caving on all this medical tyranny stuff. They're being flip-floppy, and they get away with it because, I'm going to just say it, a lot of Republican accounts are brainwashing people into thinking they're not doing it. Instead of telling you the truth about what they're doing, they're posting superhero memes, acting like they're larger than life video game characters. So people think they're larger than life video game characters when they're not. It's not just the left that's brainwashing, the right's brainwashing their base into thinking that this isn't happening. And when it does happen and I report on it, They know it's true, but they don't want to post on it because you're going to get more likes and more, engagement, and probably more engagement saying the opposite, but you might lose followers for going against the grain. So it's not that they don't know what I'm talking about. They're all afraid to say it. But I have to say this, when you have a platform, if you have millions of followers and you're reaching, millions of people daily, as a news analyst or something, you do, I think, have the responsibility to tell the truth. And if you're now just throwing people in the wrong direction and turning them into sports fans for your own gain, and you're afraid to tell the truth because, it might hurt your audience, you're complicit. You're the reason we never get anything done. You're the reason Donald Trump flopped in 2020. You're the reason we got Joe Biden. You're the reason we got mass mail-in ballots, because there is no movement to hold our party accountable. It's either Team Blue or Team Red. Team Red is way better. I vote for Team Red. But these influencers and these big, people who have more reach than Fox News, you got to tell the truth when Trump doesn't do something. You got to call out Giuliani just like you would call out, Mitt Romney and Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer's a joke, but Chuck Schumer's not on my side, so I don't really care what a big joke he is, because he's clearly a joke. It's like Malcolm X used to say with the wolf and the sheep. It's like, the left and the right. It's like one is sneakier and one's more obvious. What's more sneaky than one of the top Republicans running around the country telling people to get his product because he saved people from the Spanish flu? That's even sneakier than Chuck Schumer, because it's someone pretending to be your best friend who really doesn't give a shit about you, or his right-hand man, who is the governor of New York, who's telling you that you should carry around an ID with natural immunity. That's a way to fight authoritarianism. No, it isn't. I don't need a piece of paper, Rudy, to tell people I have an immune system. And if you think that's a solution, you suck, okay? And you're too weak. And that's what our party is. It's like a professional sports team that just pleases everybody with half in, half outs. Someone said, I'm out. You don't need to announce it, Cameron. This isn't band practice where you got to tell the teacher you're leaving on the way out. I'm out. All right, then just go, bro. Click the X button. But all right, I'm going to answer some questions. Someone said the wolf and the fox. Someone said, y'all tripping if you think he's going to disappear. I don't want him to disappear. I just want people to draw their line in the sand. I'm drawing mine in the sand. I'm not living like a slave. I'm not living like a peasant. I don't care if Giuliani suggested or Don Lemon suggested. It's not happening. It's a bad idea, and bad ideas in the free market of free speech should be told no. But that's how this world works. Like, if you want to be something, you can become something, but it takes hard work. It takes dedication. It takes persistence. And it also takes a strong mindset, and it takes you standing up for yourself. So, if you want to be a professional fan, you're going to get treated like one, but don't be shocked when something happens that's not what you thought it was, when you don't stand up for yourself. I hope that the strong side of politics, the right wing, can learn a little bit of backbone. We made a lot of progress from 2016 to 2020, and we're making a lot of progress now with the elections. Let's actually do something the next time we get into office, instead of just blowing it, acting like it's going to happen around the corner. Learn a lesson from 2016 to 2020. I was patient. I was waiting, and the opposite of what I thought was going to happen happened. And the guy who did it doesn't really seem to care that much. So, I learned my lesson, and hopefully other people did too. Next time we get something, let's observe what these people are doing and call it out. Because every December, they're going to get behind closed doors and they're going to pass an omnibus bill. That's $1 billion trillion bill that they're stealing from us and just giving to their friends in foreign countries. Obama did it. Trump did it. Biden's going to do it. We got to talk about it. Someone said a lot of conservative pages that push out propaganda. Well, it's just got to be a little balanced. You don't have to act like the Democrats are good. I'm not asking conservative pages to be like, oh, the Democrats are just as, no, the Democrats suck. They're the worst. There's no real debate there. The Democrats are by far such a sleazy, disgusting party. I respected Bill Clinton as a leader in 1998. I'm not sure what he was actually doing, but it's like he had an actual platform. And I'm not saying he's a great person. I'm just saying, like, the Democrats don't have a platform. It's pathetic. I'm not asking conservative accounts to act like it's the same. It's not. But at the same time, if you're just 100% sucking up to them and 0% being critical, yeah, you are pushing propaganda, because what do you care about? Are you a cheerleader for a political party that falls flat on their face? Or are you like a real truth teller? So I guess people can be what they want to be, but people are disguising themselves as patriots and America first. But really, what they are is just slobbering off the Republican Party, who, I'm just going to be honest, sometimes the Republican Party passes the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act was a deceitful, scummy bill, but Republicans passed it. The CARES Act was a deceitful, scummy bill. Trump passed it. The PrEP Act was deceitful and scummy and backed up Big Pharma. Trump brags about it. So it's not to say that the Democrats are as good as the Republicans. I don't think they are. But yeah, you are pushing propaganda if you don't analyze any of this whack stuff that the right does, because it hurts Americans, it hurts conservatives, it hurts our chance to win an election. Our election wasn't blown in November. Our election was blown in March. It's all a mindset. In Sweden right now, they never had a mask mandate. Did you know in Sweden they never locked down that hard? Did you know in Scandinavia, you could fly between Scandinavia and they don't have a mask mandate? America, I'm embarrassed for our country. America's not the freedom to the world. You can't even fly from Florida to South Dakota. If you fly from Florida, freedom, South Dakota, freedom, you still have to have a mask on. I actually saw somebody get pulled off a plane by a police officer in South Dakota for not wearing a mask. But you could fly from Sweden to one of the other Scandinavian countries and they don't have a mask mandate. And guess who led our party in 2020? Donald Trump. And guess what he said about Sweden? He didn't say good job. He didn't say I'm proud of them for being more free than we are. He criticized them every time he got on stage. He said Sweden should have locked down. Everybody's dying in Sweden. Look at Sweden. Look at Brazil. Trump sucks. So yeah, I'm sorry. Republicans who push that and say, oh, this isn't happening, that's why we're less free than Sweden. Sweden is more free than America. And it's not just because of Joe Biden. He's not helping, but it's because our party sucks. Our Republican Party is so weak. We can't ever make it stronger if there's no balance. And I know people love to call out Mitt Romney and it's like, cool, but that's low-hanging fruit. Mitt Romney sucks. But you know who else sucks? The guy that you guys idolize, the guy that you guys are responsible for brainwashing people into thinking is a superhero who's coming to save the world when he's not. You guys are complicit. So put in the profile, don't put American Patriot, America First, put I am a Republican Party lobbyist / propaganda pusher. I only talk about Democrats. I cover up stuff for Trump. I'll never criticize them. Put that in your bio so people at least know. If you put like, oh my God, I'm really telling the truth here, but you're like, oh, there's the truth I don't want to talk about. Let's not talk about that. It's like, how are we going to do anything in this country? We're not. And not to get on my high horse, but the whole medical tyranny stuff, it's not just policy. Yes, it's policy. Yes, they're passing bullshit mandates and executive orders, but it's also the public consciousness. If you win the battle of the narrative, the country's free. Sweden is not Republican. Sweden doesn't value freedom that much, but Sweden is free because they won the narrative. Do you know how? Because when Donald Trump said 15 days to slow the spread, we need to lock down, and he started supporting lockdowns, Sweden rejected it. So if he would have done that early on or 15 days after or something, we could have fought the narrative. But the more you buy into the narrative, the harder it is to get out. So now we're doing forced masking, forced injection, and we have a guy running around the country being like, I was the one who did the masks. He's like a big baby. He reminds me of the dinosaur baby from the dinosaur show who sits there and has like a binky in his mouth. Like he's just like, Fauci said no masky, and I said masky. I'm the father of the vaccine. I did the masks. I said to wear. He's like bragging about being more pro-mask than Fauci. He's a big baby. That's why we're losing the narrative. The winning narrative is, hey, when you lock down elderly people, their bones and their muscles start to weaken, and it actually hurts them. That's winning the narrative. Lockdowns raise childhood obesity. That's winning the narrative. Talking about what Rand Paul and Ron DeSantis talk about, that's winning the narrative. Donald Trump is a disgusting baby, self-centered, egotistical liar, and all the Republican accounts brainwash people into acting like he's a good leader. He hasn't been for the last 2 years. You win against the lockdowns and authoritarianism by winning the narrative, not by caving to it, not by selling their product, not by standing up for Tony Fauci. I call him Tony. That's what he said on Bill O'Reilly. They're like, why didn't you fire Fauci? He's like, oh, I call him Tony. We actually get along. I know you get along. I know you struck a deal with Bill Gates. I know you passed the executive order in 2019. I know you established the task force before 2020. I know you guys are friends. But the problem is your base doesn't know you're friends. Your base thinks you're fighting him. Your base thinks you're like a little Ninja Turtle that plays like on a cartoon show, because that's what all the Republican accounts tell them. You're brainwashing people. Tell them the truth, okay? We can't beat this until we win the narrative. I don't even, as many people as I've reached, I don't want to say this because I'm going to jinx myself, but as many people as I've reached, as many minds that I've changed, as much work as I've done, 700 million views, I don't get that much hate. Do you know why? Because it's hard for them to figure out what to say to me, because I'm not sloppy. I'm not stupid. I'm not saying some dumb stuff that's an easy thing for them to make fun of. They don't know what to say about me, so they don't talk about me. Because if they started talking about me, they'd have to show my video. And if they show my video, most people who read their thing would agree with it, because I'm not saying anything crazy. I'm not saying anything stupid. I'm talking about health. I'm talking about fitness. I'm talking about real data. I'm talking about Singapore. I'm talking about, Israel when they had their spike. So they just leave me alone. But that's like Ron DeSantis. Like, they're trying to talk about him. It doesn't work because he's a smooth sailor, That's how you win the narrative, though. You don't cave to it and just say stupid shit about how great you were in 2018. Talk about the parents. Talk about the kids. Talk about how disgusting it is. Talk about, how it's not going away. It's the only way to beat this thing. Someone said I could argue with you. I know you like to argue, Legacy. I could argue with you on some stuff you say is true. You just say the Trump thing too much. I say it because no one else is saying it. It's the most important thing. He's the leader. It would be like if Michael Jordan started scoring on the other basket. It's like, dude, he's not even playing for our team anymore. And it's like, oh, you talk about that too. It's a big deal. It's the number one most important thing. I could make a little Joe Biden thing. You want to hear my rap? I'll give you my rap from earlier, my TikTok and my Instagram live. I can do the little low hanging fruit stuff, but it's not interesting to me. I want to win. Okay. I want this country to not turn into a slave camp. I've studied history. Okay. I've studied communism. I've studied the Bolshevik revolution. Okay. I've studied the camps. I've studied the gulags. I've studied how millions of people died. I don't want that to happen in America. And it's going to happen. And I'm not trying to scare people, because it's not to be scared, but it's never going to happen here. We got First Amendment, Second Amendment. People are paying attention. I don't want to manifest that. But I'm just saying, if people keep slipping on the right, I'm not concerned with the left right now. No offense. If you don't get it by now, whatever. It is what it is. But we have the chance to get out of this thing. But you're not going to get out of this thing if you don't listen to what I'm saying. But that's for you. I don't really care. Someone said criticizing is not the way. Anomaly. A true revolution is needed. It's got to be a revolution of the mind, though. Here's what I want to say, too. I'm not saying this just to be like sneaky or whatever. The real revolution is changing yourself. The real revolution is changing the Republican Party. When you change yourself, the country will change. What we don't need is a fake revolution like January 6th, where a bunch of role players go to the Capitol. They're listening to Lynn Wood's telegram. He's talking about Mike Pence hanging. Donald Trump says, "Follow me to the Capitol, Patriots." And then Donald Trump doesn't even go to the Capitol. Did you realize that? "Follow me, Patriots." And he doesn't even go there. That's called a fake revolution. That's called lobbing up the Democrats to dunk in your face. That's called getting them the perfect narrative. You want to win the narrative. That's how you lose the narrative. That's a sloppy wannabe role play revolution. So this is what people think. I'm angry at Democrats, so let's start a revolution. It's got to start in you, or else you're going to follow Lynn Wood and Donald Trump to an event thinking that Nancy Pelosi is going to jail when you're going to jail. Okay, that's a fake revolution. So there is no big thing that has to happen. You need to revolutionize your mind. If everybody had a revolution in their own mind, this country would be solved tomorrow. But what you have is a bunch of Democrats who hate Republicans, and that's all they know. Hate, hate, hate. They know nothing anymore. And then you have Republicans who hate Democrats, but they're not even paying attention to their own party. You guys will worship Donald Trump. You don't even know that he doesn't think Congress should be owned by America. Do you want me to play the clip? He's complaining. He said that Israel, I'm not saying this because I got to watch. I'm not trying to get censored because, this is so not true that they're going to censor you if you say it. That's how you know they're right. But Donald Trump said on a radio show this week, he said Israel used to literally own Congress. Okay. If you said that, they'd call you an anti-Semite. But Donald Trump's bright. He said Israel used to literally own our Congress and now they don't anymore. And that's a problem. He's like, they rightfully own our Congress and they should again. That's who Donald Trump is. He's a vaccine salesman. He's a Zionist first, puppet. But you keep thinking he's America first. You're going to, we need a revolution. How are you going to have a revolution in the country when you're following the biggest con man going? He proved himself time and time again, but you guys want another take. So yeah, you want a revolution? What, you want to get set up by the vaccine salesman at the Capitol? Is that what you want? You want January 6th part 2 so Democrats can dunk in your face for 2 years? You don't need a revolution. You don't need anything other than fixing your own mind and fixing your own party. And once the Republican Party has the self-awareness to look inside and realize what they're doing, all this will go away. You want to hear the clip? I'll just play it for you. Listen to the clip. Once again, I just have to say, I didn't say this, okay? I'm just reporting the news. This is what Donald Trump is saying. Here's the clip. Ready? Listen to it.
Change I've seen in Congress is, well, the biggest change I've seen in Congress is Israel literally owned Congress. You understand that 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And it was so powerful. It was so powerful. And today it's almost the opposite. You have between AOC and Omar and these people that hate Israel. They hate it with a passion. They're controlling Congress, and Israel is not a force in Congress anymore. It's just amazing. I've never seen such a change. And we're not talking about over a very long period of time, but I think you know exactly what I'm saying. They had such power, Israel had such power, and rightfully, over Congress, and now it doesn't.
Donald Trump is very upset that Israel used to literally own our Congress, according to Donald Trump, and they had so much power over our Congress, and now they don't. That's his top priority. He's not worried about your kids being forced masked. He's not worried about the mandates. He barely talks about. That's where his mind is. That's who he is. But people don't get it. It's okay. I just want to say this too, because I had someone reach out to me recently. He said, Anomaly, I live in Israel. We love you in Israel. God bless my Israeli supporters. I know, I'm not just here crying anti-Semite or talking about this. I actually report the data out of Israel. I stand up for people, unlike the Zionist Republicans who say, we love Israelis, we love Jews. And then Jews are being forced vaccinated and all of a sudden all the Zionists are nowhere to be found. It's almost like they just use you. They do. Israelis know it. They say they love Anomaly. It's like, all these other Republicans, they use you as if you're this political tool. And then when you're being third booster shot, all of a sudden they're not talking about you anymore. The Israelis know that I care about them. But in general, in Israel's Knesset, which is Israel's Congress, you could Google it. I don't know if it's still this way, but it was for the last 100 years, the last time I checked. But you're not allowed to be a dual citizen. This is not my opinion. This is not anti-Semitic or anti-American. This is just a fact. You can't be a dual citizen to serve in the Knesset. Why? Because they want to make sure you're loyal to Israel if you serve in Israel. It's a very good policy. So if you're a Russian Israeli, you have to give up your Russian citizenship. If you're an American Israeli, you have to give up your American citizenship. And guess what? It's a very smart policy. Make sure you serve Israel first, not Russia, not America, certainly not China. We want you to serve our country. Guess what we don't do in America? We don't do that. So guess what we have? Dozens, if not hundreds, of dual citizens. And guess what happens if you say that it exists? They call you a racist anti-Semite, and then they ban you off of Twitter. And both parties come crashing down on you. Ted Cruz yells at you. Donald Trump yells at you. Ben Shapiro calls you an anti-Semite and a racist. So we don't have equality in America. We're not allowed to do what Israel does. So Donald Trump's totally right. If you look at this stuff, they have a huge amount of power over our Congress. And they have so much power that you're not even allowed to say it, or else they'll take you off of social media. That's power. That's power. And you guys think that, I wonder what's going on. Is it China? Yeah, China's doing some of it, but there's another country that you're not allowed to talk about that also has some. But if you guys can't figure that out, you don't deserve to be a free country, because your country's not even being led by people who prioritize your country. And that's always been my issue with it. I have nothing against Israel. I love the people of Israel, but we're America. If their Congress has a no dual loyalty situation, in my country, it's the opposite. They do it and make it illegal for you to talk about it. Well, that's not very fair, is it? Of course not. That's not very America first, is it? It's the opposite of America first. And that's certainly not the First Amendment. That's the opposite of the First Amendment. We're getting screwed in America. That's what politics is. They sell out to the highest bidder, they sell out to the highest corporation, and they sell out to the highest country. And then they put on a little act and act like they're fighting for you, but they're really not. So if you want a revolution, have a revolution of your own mind and have a revolution in the Republican Party, a real mental awakening, and that's when you will get results. But if you want to follow a bunch of Zionist vaccine salesmen and act like you're fighting China or something, like, oh, the China virus, it's like, you're not fighting China. How are you fighting China by locking down? How are you fighting China by selling a vaccine that China wouldn't even sell to their own people? How is that fighting China? It's all big like circus. They're like, oh, we're fighting China. It's like, oh yeah, that's what it is. That's really what's going on. And then he does a radio interview and tells you what's really going on. That's why Donald Trump is actually more interesting than every other politician, because he tells the truth like that. He'll just say something that no one else will say. He'll just say it, and people are like, whoa. Now they're writing all these pieces. He didn't mean that. That's not true. No, it is true. I wouldn't say the whole Congress, but there's one thing that you're traditionally not really allowed to disagree with in Congress. China. Someone said, what members of Congress have dual citizenship? Just Google it, but never say it, okay? I'm going to give you a big hint. If you want to be in the Republican Party, you can't tell the full truth. You can't ask questions. You definitely can't. Do not ask these questions to Charlie Kirk, okay? If you ask these questions at a Turning Point event, they're going to call you far right and try to ruin your life. But if you want to know who's a dual citizen in Congress, try to look it up. But if you ever say it and you ever ask that question, who has multiple citizenships, they will call you an anti-Semite, they will call you a Nazi, and they'll try to ruin your life. So make sure you don't ask that question. But do also Google that it's not allowed in Israel. In a lot of countries, they don't allow it. But here, it's just totally normal for a foreign country to own our Congress, according to Donald Trump, and he's glad of it. That's who he is, folks. He's not nearly nobody in the Republican Party is America first. You know who's America first in the Republican Party? Maybe Thomas Massey, maybe Rand Paul, the son of Ron Paul. There's not many people. Maybe Paul Gosar, I think, kind of gets it. I'm trying to think who else gets it. It's a game you play, though. It's like if you play for the, if you play for the Brooklyn Nets, you got to get vaccinated. That's the rule. If you want to not play for the Brooklyn Nets, you could be Kyrie Irving, but you're not going to play for the Nets. Those are the rules that they set. The Republican Party, they have a certain amount of rules. You could be a Republican. Oh, yeah, you could talk about black crime rates. You could talk about this. You could talk about that. But you definitely do not talk about that, or else you're not going to be in the Republican Party, because that's who they serve. And I want to be transparent with people, because money talks. Okay. Like I said, if you get $2.5 million or $8 million from Big Pharma, it doesn't make you anti-pharma. That's why they pay the money. If they want people to just love their product, listen, I'm drinking coffee right now. No one paid me to drink this coffee. No one paid me to get this mug. I bought this mug because I like Alaska, and I drink this coffee because I like this coffee. No one had to pay me. So if Big Pharma wants everyone to love their product naturally, then stop paying everybody. But they pay people, because when they pay you, you sell their product. That's how politics works. Nobody gives a politician $50 million and tells them to just do whatever they want. It's like investing in a company. You invest in them like a NASCAR driver. They should wear their little sponsors on their shirts. It's like you give them that much money and then they do something. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if this is going to get me in trouble, but I don't really care. The reason that the Republican Party is subservient to Israel in many ways is not because they naturally feel that way. That's just what they tell you, because they think if they, take a Bible quote out of context, you'll believe them. They do it because they get hundreds of millions of dollars from wealthy people to do it. The biggest sponsor on the right wing before he passed away, rest in peace, was Sheldon Adelson, and he was doling out more money than Soros. Not on a global scale, but definitely for an individual party in certain elections. That's why they do it. You think they would do it naturally if they weren't being paid off or one way or the other pressured to do it? No, that's why they do it. but they just tell you that they're doing it naturally, just like they tell you they're just selling a vaccine naturally. You think Donald Trump went from a vaccine skeptic to a vaccine salesman naturally in 3.5 years? No, he did it because he got paid to do it. He did it because it was a powerful move to do. It would have been a very difficult move to do the opposite. So he took the easy route to sell us out for a product that he probably himself doesn't really believe in. Maybe he does. Maybe he really loves it, but I don't think he actually likes it. And I think that's why he sounds so defeated in his recent interviews, because he doesn't have the truth on his side anymore. He has a product that he's sold his soul to, that he's like made the number one priority when there's kids and parents and teachers suffering and nurses suffering. So it's not a hateful thing. I love all people, but it's the same with the left. They say, oh my God, if you disagree with me, you're a white supremacist. Oh my God, if you talk about crime rates, you're a Nazi. Oh my God, even if you're a black woman who looks like this from Jamaica, who's blacker than me, you're fighting for white supremacy. These are the games that they play. This is the book that I'm going to write. I'm talking about this. Anybody who uses this word, you can't say that. You can't say that or you're an anti-Semite. You can't say that or you're a racist. If you say, I hate everybody of this ethnicity, then yeah, okay, you're a racist. You're kind of a scumbag. Why would you hate everybody from an ethnicity? You got no friends. You don't understand the soul and the content of character. Then you're a scumbag. But if you're simply questioning dual loyalty, or you're questioning lobbying money, or you're questioning how politics works, and they call you a racist, sexist, anti-Semite, xenophobe, they're not doing it for your favor. But neither party gets this. The left wing is totally brainwashed by identity politics, and the right wing does the same thing with Jewish people that the left does with Black and Hispanic people. And I'll tell you what, it's all fake. And that's why people in Israel actually like me and respect me. And that's why honest Jewish people like me and respect me, because I'm not a bullshitter. I'm not just using a Jewish guy for, everybody who disagrees with me is a Nazi, like a political tool. That's what all these Zionist Republicans do. I tell people the truth. When Israel's in a crisis, I'm standing up for Israelis. But all these Republicans that claim to love Jews so much, they only seem to love Jews from 2016 to 2019 when they're fundraising at like these little New York events. But all of a sudden, Israel's being forced a fourth booster shot, and none of these Republicans are standing up for them. It's almost like they don't care about you, because they don't. They use Jewish people the same way Democrats use Blacks and Hispanics. And I just tell the truth. I love all people that are righteous, and I'm not a fan of people who are liars. So it's not a racist, sexist, xenophobic, anti-Semite. The same way that the left wing does that for certain races, that's what the right does. And if you ask these questions to Trump, or you ask these questions to Charlie Kirk, or you ask these questions to, Ted Cruz, or you ask these questions to Dan Crenshaw, they're not going to give you an honest answer. They're not going to tell you the truth. They're not going to talk about where their lobbying money comes from. They're going to call you an anti-Semite. Why? Because they love Jewish people? No, because they're hiding their anti-American agenda behind it. And that doesn't mean you have to hate Israel. You could love Israel and love America. But the thing is, if you're an American citizen, listen, I'm Italian, Polish, Czechoslovakian, and I'm also part Puerto Rican, which is under America. But in general, I love Poland and I love Italy. But guess what? I love America the most. And if somebody asks me, well, do you have loyalty to Italy and do you have more loyalty to Poland? That's a valid question. I would think that I barely talk about them, so I prove time and time again where my loyalty is. But you're allowed to ask it. I wouldn't call you an anti-Italian or an anti-Polak. I would say, no, that's a valid question. What does Ben Shapiro do? He calls you an anti-Semite. Why? Because he's a righteous man? No, because he doesn't want you to tell the truth about where his mindset is and what other country he cares about just as much, if not more, than America. And he says it's an illegal, hate speech violation to suggest otherwise. So he's a little sneaky liar. That's who he is, because he doesn't want you to have a conversation about it. It's not a bad thing, and it doesn't mean you hate someone else. If you serve a country, you can't serve two masters. If America's doing a deal with Israel and I serve both countries, you're not going to look out for America's best interests. And it's like I'm a Chinese American and I'm in both governments, and I really care about America, but I also care. It's like, no, that's not how. You can't do that. You can't play for the Knicks and play for the Nets. Well, they're in the finals together. I love both teams, and you're a racist if you say that I like one more than the other. It's like, no, pick a freaking team. Doesn't mean you can't go there. Doesn't mean you can't love the people of there, but it's a valid question to ask somebody, who do you play for? What team do you play for? And the reason that people shut this conversation down is because a lot of politicians in the Republican Party, they're playing for multiple teams. And the sad reality that nobody wants to talk about is their number one team that they prioritize the most is not you, even in the Republican Party. The Democrats, you're like last, they hate you. It's like, They hate you with a passion. Republicans just kind of don't care about you that much, but make like you're like third. You're like, I'm going to take care of this country. I'm going to take care of this politician. I'm going to take care of this donor, give his wife a presidential medal of freedom. I'm going to take care of this pharmacy company. And then, it's like America fifth or something, but Democrats are America last. This is why I vote Republican. This is why I trust them a little more, but it's not what you think it is. And until you realize what I'm talking about, which is one of the hardest things to talk about because of all the censorship and backlash within your own party, nothing's going to change, right? So that's the real revolution, the revolution of the mind, the revolution of the spirit, the revolution of the Republican Party, the inter-awakening of standing up for yourself and your country from a position of power and strength. And true strength does not come from anger or hatred or violence or negativity. True strength comes from, self-confidence, self-awareness, self-responsibility, not hating somebody else. You don't have to get angry at someone else in order to say your truth. And that's when it hits the hardest. Because when you're like anonymous and on 4chan and just screaming at people, that's not true strength. That's weakness, And I'm not saying you shouldn't have free speech. I'm just saying some people sit in my comment section, you don't say this enough. And I say it like this, like you're not being effective. You're not reaching anybody. You're angry, right? You're angry. So you're sitting there anonymously saying things you wouldn't say in person. You might feel like you're helping, but it's selfish. It's an egotistical thing. You just want to get the anger out of you. Real strength comes from when you're not angry and you're just confident and you could say it and mean it. You're like, I don't hate anybody. I'll go to this country or this country. I'd love to travel the world. But when it comes to geopolitics, my country needs to care about my country. And this is not just Israel, all foreign aid. I don't understand foreign aid. Why are they taking my money? Like, okay, we have all this money to give to Afghanistan and Yemen and Syria and rebuild and give to Israel and give to Mexico and gender studies in Pakistan. Like, I'm sorry, all of it should go to zero, in my opinion. I mean, unless you can explain to me how it's really helping, it's like, why are you stealing my money and sending it overseas? You're literally robbing me and giving billions of dollars to a foreign country that's wildly rich and can afford their own stuff, but they'd rather not pay for it, just like I would rather not pay for it. I could pay my rent. I have no problem. I got money saved, but shit, if somebody paid my rent for me, I wouldn't complain. So that's what other countries are doing to us. So, and it'll only stop when people get tough on their own party. But both parties, when you get tough, they have a trap with how to stop you. If you get tough on the Democrats, they call you a racist, they call you a sexist, they call you a xenophobe or a white supremacist or not whatever. And if you get tough on the right to your Republican Party, they're going to call you an anti-Semite and they're going to call you, I don't know, who knows, like far right or, oh my God, we need to distance ourselves from those people. It's like, okay, but you didn't answer the question. That's fine. But what about what? It was a decent question. I don't know. A question should be allowed. Someone said that 450,000 for illegals. The Democratic Party is a complete joke. I guess, listen, I had a great day. I enjoyed yesterday thoroughly. I think the Republicans, we're on pace to take back the House and the Senate. But when we get it, this is all I'm saying. I'm getting a year head start on it. We have to be more critical of our own side. We're going to win these next elections. I believe it. But I don't want to watch another 4 years go to waste. We have to learn from the last 4 years. We didn't really accomplish that much legislation-wise. Listen, I'm not trying to harp on a dead horse, but dude, Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh are both siding with forced vaccinations. Dude, Donald Trump blew it. I just don't care anymore. I can't pretend like he didn't blow it. He blew it. And we all knew, me, Robert Barnes, shout out to Robert Barnes because he probably knew it before anyone. Amy Coney Barrett was always going to be forced vaccination. Amy Coney Barrett was always going to be pro-lockdown. We knew this. We had a record. If we have a record, Trump has a record. He doesn't care. He serves Big Pharma. He put Alex Azar, a pharmacy lobbyist, as the head of human health services. He sold us out in 2019 with an executive order setting up for the pandemic. Trump sucks. So next time we get into power, I think it's going to happen. I don't want to see another forced vaccination judge. I mean, we might not get another Supreme Court judge. Trump picked young people who hate us and put them in the Supreme Court. Brett Kavanaugh sucks, and Amy Coney Barrett sucks. They're wrong on the biggest issue of this generation. Screw them. Excuse me. You think he didn't know that? We knew that, but he didn't know that? You guys make too many excuses. It's unbelievable. Amy Coney Barrett sided with the forced vaccination of teenagers in Indiana, and both of them sided with forced vaccination of health workers. They suck, and so does Trump. So I'm getting a year head start because if we get into power again and we let this disgusting vaccine salesman, con artist, big pharma clown take over and brainwash everyone again, we're going to end in the same freaking position we did in 2020 in a lockdown. I'm not doing it, okay? I don't care how much people don't want to hear it. I don't care if they say I'm beating a dead horse. We're going to win in 2022, but it's not going to matter if people don't get what I just said in the last 30 minutes. And true power comes from the Lord, okay? True power is not sucking up to big pharma to get money and running around the country. That's not real power. Trump had real power in 2016. Trump had real power in 2018. You know why Trump had so much real power? Because he was telling the truth. That's why he had real power. It doesn't matter how many people were against him. It doesn't matter how many media. If you tell the truth, you have the Lord on your side. You have that real energy, okay? It's not easy, but it's real. And they can't beat it. That's why Donald Trump won, because he was telling the truth. Now listen to him in an interview. He sounds like a scared kitten. Why? Because he has fake energy. He's siding with the lobbyists. He's siding with the sneaks. He's siding with the global people that you think he's fighting. And that's why he sounds like a fraud, because he knows he's a fraud. It's not real strength. Real strength comes from God. Real strength is righteous. Real strength is like a steel barrier that can't be it's like an ice wall, okay? It cannot be penetrated. That's real power. Fake power is like, let me see who I could suck up to get money and strength and get put on a pedestal. That's not real power. Real power is not flying across the country and getting testing positive for COVID-19 after you got the vaccine and now you got a quarantine. Real power is not being Joe Biden, being on a stage wearing a mask in a foreign country looking like an idiot, falling asleep. That's not real power. It's all fake. So they could have their little moment. They could have their attention. They could have their little podium and pedestal. But eventually, real strength and real power comes into power. That's what's happening in 2022. I'm sorry. You could try to, audit the election and the results and do whatever you can, make the election as fair as possible, but don't buy into this fact that you can't win. They just swept in Virginia. Do you know why? Because it's possible. It's not going to, their little plan is not going to work. And to say some more unpopular stuff, I think something extremely sketchy happened in 2020. I really do. I saw it happen, and everything about how elections work needs to change. They should do in person. They shouldn't count for days. They shouldn't count mail-in ballots last. The whole thing is nonsense. But in general, from November 8th or whatever it was to January 6th, Trump raised $250 million. Okay, Sidney Powell, Linwood, I gave them all time, right? I was like, I think they're going to do it. And then they kind of came up like, sure, in my opinion, like I wanted real video footage. Their evidence wasn't amazing. It was like, whatever, honestly, but they kept milking it. And then you go to the Capitol, and then you go to freaking Mike Lindell's event. Do what you can to make the election fair, okay? But a lot of these people, and I'm not going to name names because the people that I named, I'm not even talking about, but in general, there's going to be groups that know you care about that, and they're just going to waste your time for 2 years. So it's like people, just because I like, like orange juice doesn't mean I'm going to drink any orange juice. And that's what you guys got to figure out. Like, people realize you want to hear about that. So there's grifters all over the place, grifting, getting money, and they're not doing anything. So to really fix an election, try to look at people that are changing, laws in the sense of like ID, not 50 days of counting. Count the mail-in ballots first. Don't count them last. Count them first. This way you can't add more votes to the count, or people think you're adding more votes to the count. So it's like just seeing the reason I say this stuff, because yeah, I agree with most people on most stuff. But what's interesting to me is what I don't agree with, where it's like I see people falling down these things and I'm like, I get what you're going for, but at a certain point, you're going to have 2.5 years wasted in that direction. You're going to have nothing to show for it. So I'm the type where it's like, even with the cyber symposium, I've talked about this, like, show me the results. Don't keep showing me the same people. Dr. Shiva, I like Dr. Shiva. I've spoken to him multiple times. I'll probably speak to him again, but I don't need to see him 50 times on a television. Like, what's the results? What are you going to do? You know what I'm saying? And once again, I love Dr. Shiva, but I'm just saying, it's like, this is not blowing my mind as far as like, you're not like, do something, or don't waste people's time and money for 2 years and do nothing. Like, let's get something done. Let's get a tangible result, and then let's move on and do something else. And if you don't want to move on, then stay on what you're doing, but get a result out of it. Because if you waste 3 years and don't do anything, that's not a money well spent. You just wasted energy of Republicans for 3 years. And this is what I want to, I'm sorry, but I'm on one today. This is what I want to tell people too, is like, don't let anybody, myself, anybody, waste your energy. So during 2017 to 2019, they did something called Russia collusion, right? Russia collusion, Russia collusion, Russia collusion, Russia collusion, Russia collusion, Russian bots. You're a Russian bot with a Russian. That's all they talked about in the media and on the press. And everybody talked about how wrong it was. And I believe they were lying. Everybody knows that. But the real story that nobody talked about is they wasted our energy. And I tried to talk about this from 2017 to 2019. Yes, you can debunk it. Yes, you can call them liars, but don't let them waste your energy. And everybody talked about that. The left created a narrative, and then the right lived in the narrative, right? So here's the narrative created by the left, and the right made that their whole identity, fighting it. But you're fighting it inside of a narrative they created. You got to create your own narrative. Beat their narrative, but stop living in their narrative and just reacting to it for clicks. It doesn't work. So with all this stuff, this is what I'm trying to say. You have one life, okay? If you want to work on election fraud, do it and do the best, but get results. And if you can't get results, figure out what you can do, because you can't waste 3 years pretending to get results, not getting results, and saying you helped. You didn't help yourself, and you didn't help the country. Help yourself by not letting anybody suck your energy away. Focus on yourself, focus on your country, focus on your state, local, whatever, but do something. And if you can't do something else. You can't spend activism pretending like you're doing something to get no results. Don't let people waste your energy. You could have started a business. You could have done this. You could have done that. You could have started your own thing. I know some people are doing it, but I see people running circles around certain actors for 3 years and they get nothing out of it. And then they're like, oh man, it's the deep state. I'm like, it's you. Why'd you let people are like, why don't you listen to this person? I don't hate them, but I see what they're doing. It's like a big show and there's no finale, So I don't got time to run around these people for 24 hours at 4-day spectacular to get nothing. Like I'm going to be doing something else that's more beneficial. So don't let anybody, politician, influencer, suck and waste your energy for nothing, because the Democrats will do that. Some Republicans will do it. And you can't get this time back. That from 2017 till now, so many people spent so much time on certain things. And it's like we came up empty handed. But it's not to say don't try. But that's my thoughts with the election. I'm a doer and I'm a mover and a shaker. Can we get a result? Then let's get a result. Can we do something? Let's do it. Can we not? Then what am I going to waste 3 years pretending like, role playing social advocate? It's like, let's get something done or move on. Or double task, triple task. Like, okay, do this, but also I can't spend 100% of my energy on something that's not going anywhere. Someone said build back smarter. Well, that would be smart, but they're not trying to build back smarter. They're trying to build back dumber. Build back dumber. Someone said just ordered my beanies. Thank you, Adana. There's not that many left. Let me see. I'll give you the exact number real quick, because I told people real quick, the beanies are selling out, and we didn't buy more. We should have bought more months ago. And the supply chain is down because I get all my stuff made in the US. It's high quality, not that big of profit margins. I could buy it from China and make like $30 a hat or something. But let me see how many are left, because I told people that they're selling out the black beanies, and we're not going to be able to get them probably until next year. I'm just going to find the exact number of how many are left, because I said they're sold out in the last video. I just want to let y'all, I'm not lying. Like, it's a marketing tactic. I'm kind of pissed at myself because we should have ordered more when there were still left. 37. There's 37 black beanies in stock right now. And once they run out, I'm done for the whole winter. I can almost guarantee they're going to run out at this pace next week, if not this week. How much are the beanies? Sheesh, I don't know. $30 maybe? I'm not sure though. If you go to dreamrare.com, you can see how much they are. $25.99. We should sell them for more. I need more product. No, I'm just kidding. But $25.99. That's a good deal. The black beanies are nice hats. Just to let y'all know the process, I had like 6 beanies, all the made in the US beanies. I had them all, and like some of them were too tight. I don't know if I have a big head or not. I don't know. Does my head look like it's big? It might be a big head. But anyway, I had like 6 different made in the US hats, and they were tight. And we had them. And he's like, let's sell them. And I was like, no, they're too tight. And then the God bless hats now, they're a little bigger. Like I mean, they fit comfortable and they don't like squeeze your head. So I got these ones. So I could sell other God bless hats and make money, but I don't want to sell something I don't like myself. And I like the thick, these ones fit nice. They feel good. I'll take the loss in money before I sell. I can't have be squeezing my head. The hot air comes out. I start getting a headache. It's got to be nice and fat for my fat head. Someone said the British war on Christianity. I'm sure it is, but the British people, man, just like the American people, can't play the victim. You got to get smarter and figure out. I don't know how Britain works. I don't live there, but figure out how to win the narrative. I would say this. Some people say that, Europe is further gone than America. They say Europe is further gone. Politically, yes. Systemically, yes. But also there's certain ways, like demographically, I would say not really, where look at Sweden in general. They're liberal, socialist, but they don't have a mask mandate. So the dynamic in Europe is different. It's different racially. The racial demographics are different. The social demographics are different. You guys smoke too many cigarettes and watch too much football at the pub and drink too much beer. But all jokes aside, and by football I mean soccer. That's what they call it in Europe, in UK. But in general, it's like in many ways, Great Britain is behind us. But in many ways, you guys have a lot more time to make a convincing argument to your country and explain, what's going on. So I don't know how the media works there, or social media, but you definitely Britain needs more leaders. Like everybody, a lot of people around the world look up to American leaders, right? Because we got like a lot of freedom fighters, and Europe needs more freedom fighters, and Britain needs more leaders. I don't know where you guys are at. John Snip said, "Are Black God Bless hats going to be back in stock?" So the beanies are going to be out of stock until we can get them back. It might be a while. The Black God Bless hats like this. So I'll tell you what happened. So I used to, sorry, I don't want to bore you, but I just want to give you the full story. I used to work with like a website that just did drop shipping. So I didn't buy any of the hats. I just worked with the thing. And then the white hats were gone, and they had no white or black hats, or they ran out of every hat. So I was like, shit, I can't sell hats anymore. So I started working with a merch company who we buy them in bulk. I pay for them. I pay a lot of money. We buy them. We make them ourselves, and we put them in a warehouse. I like these specific hats. They're made in America. They got multiple American flags on it. It's good quality. I love this company, so I got to go with this company. This company doesn't have any black hats for some reason. I don't know. It's because like U.S. supply chains are all screwed up, and nobody's like doing business properly. So I could sell like a Chinese black hat or some crappy black hat. But as far as these ones, I don't sell anything that's not made in the U.S. or, the shirts, they're made in the U.S. But I'm always looking for, if I could find a brand that's better or whatever, I'm always looking for it. So with the hats, the white hats, we have a lot. The black hats are, I don't know, the whole year. I couldn't get a black hat the whole year. I'm trying so hard. I would buy thousands of them. They would sell like hotcakes, but I would have the black hats here tomorrow if I could. It's just the supply chains are down, and I can't sacrifice quality. I can't do it. Hopefully the sweatshirts come out great. I've worn the sweatshirts, so I know what they're made of. They're nice sweatshirts, but I'm getting them embroidered. The Dream Rare ones are embroidered and stitched on, which is going to be extra nice. The printing, I'm sure it's all going to be good, or else it won't go out. But in general, I would like to sell the black hats, but I can't switch up. I'm loyal to these hats. I like them. Someone said, love my pink God is great hat, great quality, and get lots of compliments. I'm a hat snob too, by the way. Yeah, I know this company's great. So this is like a thicker hat, and the other ones were a little smaller. Same company, different size. I like both, seriously, like in different ways. And I'll get more colors, but the supply chain's super down. Someone said, why do you still believe in the red-blue scam? There's no good democracies that's going to save us. I'm glad you asked that, because I get a lot of backlash from that. Like, why do you even talk about it? I have to say this. Listen, I've talked about what I don't like about the Republican Party for like an hour. I've talked about what they're not doing. I talked about what we need to do, but I don't buy into this. And people are going to get mad at this, but I don't really care. I don't buy into this. It doesn't matter at all. Someone said on my Twitter, and I agree with this. He said the Democrats have been hijacked for the worst and they're going in the wrong direction. He said the Republicans are most likely to be hijacked and go in the right direction. And I truly believe that. Like, I moved from a city that was run by Democrats. It was horrible. I moved to a city that is run by Republicans. It's 1,000 times better. So, to the people, I'm just curious, have you never gone to areas that have different politics? Like, it does make a difference. If your attorney general is standing down and letting people rob shit, that makes a difference. If your government, like in California, is allowing people to just steal under $500 worth of stuff and not get a serious crime charge, that matters. You know what I'm saying? Like, if your police are restrained, like in Orange County, they're not restrained. In LA, they can't do anything because they're not allowed to do anything. So, it does make a difference. It makes a difference, I believe, on a local level, on a state level, nationally a little bit, but not really, because Trump, I mean, put in 2 crappy Supreme Court justices and didn't really do anything. But I agree with you on a national level. It almost doesn't matter because I thought Trump was going to do stuff, but he really didn't. But on a local and state level, I do think it matters. I don't know. It's like go to New York City and tell me that it doesn't matter. Or I don't know. Maybe I'm sure you could find nice liberal areas that are nice in some places, but I think it does matter tax wise, price wise on certain things. So does it matter as much as people think it does? Like on a national scale, I agree with you. No, but does it matter? Not at all. I don't agree with that. And I know like anarchists and libertarians want to get mad at me, but say like Florida. Do you think Florida would have been the same now if Andrew Gillum won? If Andrew Gillum would have beat Ron DeSantis, do you think Florida would have been what it is now? There's no way. There's no way. Say what you want about DeSantis, but he has done enough to put some space between, government and businesses in some cases. He's not winning every battle against the bigger businesses like the cruise lines and such, but he's trying. He's doing something. I don't believe that as much as I am annoyed by the Republican Party, I don't believe that there's no difference. I think that's dumb. I'm not trying to be mean, but it's like people are like, it doesn't matter at all. It's like, okay, then go live in New York City. Okay. But don't live in like a nice, safe, clean Republican area that likes the police and defends the police and passes good laws for their police officers and sit there and say, don't vote. Cause it's like, if that area went Democrat, overnight, you would see a shift in policy and policing, and that makes a difference. How much difference? Someone said, not my, and some places Republicans suck and steal your money too. And there's also unsafe areas and whatever, but I can't buy into this narrative that it doesn't matter at all. As much as I'm annoyed at the Republicans, I don't believe that it doesn't matter. I think it's going to make a huge difference in Virginia. I think policing, crime, laws being passed, it's going to make a huge difference. Is it the distance? Are they doing everything? No, but push them, through your voice, push them in the right direction. I don't personally, as somebody that moved from a liberal city to a Republican city, I think we should kick out people who say it doesn't matter. If you're right wing and you're like, it doesn't matter, it's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. Then go live with the Democrats then. Go live in Los Angeles and tell me it doesn't matter. Like so many people that tell me it doesn't matter, they live in like a hellhole shitty city and they're just like black-pilled. It's like move to a nice community that's red and you'll see how much it does matter. Someone said research Neuralink. I know quite a bit. Someone said Hillsborough County in Florida is purple. It's a war every election. Someone said I live in Washington State and I love it. Yeah, Washington's a beautiful state. If you get away from the cities, it's gorgeous, right? America's a beautiful country. Every state is beautiful. You just have to avoid the big cities. Like I think the big cities are probably the worst spots in every city. Every state is gorgeous. Just get away from like Los Angeles, New York, Seattle, and you're probably living a decent life. Thank you, Will. I appreciate it. When do my sweatshirts come in? Next week. So the pre-sale. So when we do a pre-sale, when it says pre-sale, we're trying to gauge how many orders we get because I buy them myself. I just spent over $30,000 on merch. That's how much I bought. That's how much everything bought. You wouldn't believe how much the sweatshirts cost. I could get Chinese sweatshirts for like $20. Dude, these sweatshirts were like $30, $40 a pop. My profit margins are not even that good on the sweatshirts because some of the sweatshirts cost literally like 40 something dollars. Like, not even kidding. So they're good quality. But in general, we're getting them stitched and printed up. We get them next week. The God is Great ones should come in mid next week. And then the Dream Rare ones are coming in a week after because we're getting them embroidered. It's going to be even nicer and more expensive. But those are going to be in next week. So I apologize for the delay. Everything else is in, but the long sleeves and the sweatshirts are going to come in next week, and they should start shipping out next week, probably late next week. And then the Dream Rare ones are coming in the next week. So once that's over, though, they're going to be in and they'll ship from November 10th and past probably everything's going to maybe, I guess for the Dream Rare ones a little longer, but once we get them all, they're going to ship. So, and they'll ship quickly. So if you get them like early December stuff, everything's going to ship fast. We just have to get them in the warehouse. Someone said California is by far some of the most beautiful landscape besides Alaska and Hawaii, of course. I love Hawaii. I love Alaska. I love California. It's true. Someone said Portland is cool. Trust me, I've never seen Antifa and most people are cool. I've been to Portland. I loved Portland when I went, but it was a long time ago. LA, most people are cool too. It's just like a dirty city, you know? Some cities just get super dirty, super fast, and super like crappy. So I'm sure most of Portland's still awesome, but it's like, you know, as a whole, coming together and just like being like, let's not let this go to shit. Someone said it's filthy. Yeah, I don't want to live in filth anymore. You know, like New York is cool too. I like New York, but it's like at a certain point, we got to figure out how to clean these cities. New York was good a couple years ago. I'm sure they've blown it by now, but I always loved New York. Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate it. Amanda, thank you for that comment. I see your comment. I appreciate it. All right, we'll do one more and then we'll leave. So I haven't been live in a while, so I wanted to just do a little live. Hopefully I get my live streams back on Facebook in a week or two, but if not, I'll let you guys know. I have 3 different companies trying to do a deal with me. So they're different sort of things. Like some of them are crowdfunding. One of them is a big video company. So, you know, I'm not even upset at the Facebook thing. They're cutting into my revenue quite a bit and obviously like annoying me with like censoring me, but I don't really cry about it. I see it as an opportunity to do something else. So now that Facebook took my live stream away, I'm perhaps going to maybe, if it works out, strike a deal with a crowdfunding company or strike a deal with a big video company that you guys know about. And then I'm going to do, you know, live streams on there. And instead of working against them, like Facebook, I should have 20,000 people watching. It's like they're hurting. They're not trying to work with me. So if I start building on a company that actually likes me, it's going to be very beneficial. But in general, I'm working on different type of videos, 30-second clips for Instagram Reels and TikToks, my long form videos. And I'm taking this as a learning process and realizing what I've always known, that Facebook doesn't give a shit about me. But, you know, I'll eventually probably try to figure out a home. I just have no home right now. I'll make videos, put them everywhere. But eventually, if I make the right situation, I'll land somewhere where I could go live and know that they're not going to cancel me and stuff. So it's all good. But I've had multiple business calls and stuff, and hopefully I can, you know, take my stuff and place it somewhere eventually. I'm not going to stop making Facebook videos. I'm not going to stop making YouTube and Instagram and everything, but I might do like an exclusive live stream deal and only live stream somewhere for 5 months. It would be a win-win. I mean, the win would be, one, they wouldn't cancel me or censor me. Two, I could start to build another platform, and also I don't lose my audience because I don't want to lose like the reach on Facebook. People don't like Facebook, but a lot of people do like Facebook, and I have hundreds of thousands of views on like every video I make. So I don't want to leave. Thank you, Dustin. I appreciate it. I needed it too because there's certain things like, you know, it's like a therapy session both ways where you want to get stuff out sometimes. Where I mean, I'm life has been good, but there's certain things that I see that it's like, yeah, I do want to live stream sometimes and talk about. Do you have to pay for the new platform? No. So if I do, it's nothing set in stone. So in business, it's not done till it's done. When it's done, it's signed and it's done. But in general, no, it's going to be free. Everything I'll say for the most part, this is even with Patreon. Anybody that's a patron on Patreon, I want to say thank you guys for supporting because I do my Patreon differently. Some people do weekly like live streams and stuff. I tell people I'll answer all their messages. That's my perk on Patreon. If you sign up to patreon.com/raretalk, every month I go through and answer their messages, and I don't have time to answer messages on Facebook or Instagram. So that's my perk. But I don't want to give too much stuff out privately because all of my stuff is free and I want to keep it that way. So sometimes people complain about ads, and I'm like, you put too many ads in the back of your live stream. I just spent over $30,000 on merchandise. I got to sell this shit. In general, it's going to sell. My sales are fine. I'm just saying, like, I don't run ads. So if you don't want to watch the ad at the end of my live, just click the X button. I don't charge you to watch it. And when Facebook or YouTube runs ads, it's annoying, but also that's my revenue. If Facebook and YouTube didn't run ads, I wouldn't be here. So you got to understand everything I do is free, but I have to make revenue somewhere, else I don't have the time to make videos. So I do that through revenue. Patreon, Facebook, YouTube, music, and also selling merchandise has been a huge additional bonus. So now when Facebook takes away, they took away 90% of my income. Imagine if you're working for your job. Could you afford to lose 90% of your income and still work? Most people couldn't. I can though. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying most of my revenue comes from Facebook. When Facebook cuts it out or lowers it, it doesn't bother me because I make a lot with merch. I have Patreon. I have other things. So they could take all my shit away and I could still live. That's how much I've built. So, that's what I do. So all in general, all my stuff will always be free. I prioritize no matter what I do. I wouldn't make a deal with somebody where I couldn't I want everybody to see it for free. And I want like 99.999% of my content to be free, like maybe like one thing behind a paywall, but I don't like doing that. I want everyone to see it. I want everyone to reach it to be shareable, viewable, because that's the most important thing. But I just got to let you know, in order to do that, yeah, YouTube, Facebook, ads, that's a must. Patreon, Facebook supporters, that type of stuff, that helps a lot. Thank you guys for being understanding how I work. And that's why I do it. I don't like to hide things behind the paywall. It's like just, but let an ad run once in a while if you don't mind. I mean, click skip. I would click skip, but I'm just saying, don't complain to me. Cause some people are like, dude, why'd you put an ad at the end of your TikTok? I'm like, I don't know. I tried it. I put an ad there. I don't know. Just don't watch it if you don't like it. Maybe it was the wrong decision, but I'll never know. If that goes viral on TikTok and I sell 10 hats, maybe that helps me. I don't know. I'm just kind of winging it, but I always put an ad at the end of my video because I think that's more respectful than before. I could put an ad right at the beginning of my video and say sponsored by, but I do it at the end. So you don't have to watch it if you don't want to, and you can get the full video without it. So you can complain, but I'm not going to stop doing it unless you want to wire me like 100K or something. Then I'll stop. Someone said, if it's skipped, do I not get paid for it? I don't know how it works, but I would say just skip it. I skip every ad that comes on. So if you have the option to skip, just skip it. I probably don't get paid as much for a skip, but it's fine. I'm not like crawling for money. I'm just saying, don't complain when I run ads. I run my own ads for God Bless Hats because I run my own merch company. And that's for people that like, I'm explaining just because I like business, and yeah, I do ads, but I'm also interested in entrepreneurship, etc. So hopefully this helps people that are starting their own business. But people don't understand it creates power for myself, not just financial power. Like, oh my God, I'm so rich, I can go buy a fancy car. That's not what I'm talking about. It's power when you have FU money, right? You don't have to listen to anybody. I'm not that wealthy, but what I am saying is I can literally lose my main source of income on Facebook, which is a lot of money. I could lose it all and it's still not going to bankrupt me because of my hat business and because of Patreon and because of other platforms, I can still pay my rent, still pay my car bills and still save money. Even if they took away my biggest source of revenue, they could take away my top two. But because I created my own hat company, now I have the money to not only weather the storm, but still move forward. So that's why it's very powerful. It's not just like, oh yeah, I'm making money. Oh, for sure. I want to make money. I want to save and have stocks and crypto or whatever, investments, whatever you want to say, real estate. Yeah, of course I want to not be poor, but that's not why it's really important for my stuff. It's like if they could take something away from me and I lose everything and now I don't know what to do, now I'm desperate. Now I have to go work for someone else. Now I have to like strike a deal with a company I don't want to strike because I'm afraid I'm going to lose my platform. I don't give a shit about anything. That's why I say what I want to do. I don't care if they take it all away. I mean, obviously I wouldn't be happy, but I'm good. I'm planning for the future. I'm planning for the present. So that's why I don't really care. They could take away 95% of my income and I'm not going to cry and beg for help. I'm going to just be like, F you and keep it moving. Now we got to sell more hats. Now I'm going to I might start a whole new company next week. So it's all good. Someone said, this is great. Well, thank you, Trisha. I appreciate it. Sometimes people get mad when I talk about this stuff, but I do it because I that's what I listen to. I don't listen to, someone said God provides. Absolutely. I don't listen to politics. I don't listen to like news people. I listen to like financial planners and I listen to like, business, like gurus and stuff. That's what I like to do in my spare time because I like to be inspired. And I will say this, when I started making money, like when I was broke and I was just doing like social media marketing, like, yo, I'll do your social media for 2,000 a month, 3,000 a month. That was my hustle. When I was in LA, I'd be on Craigslist. I'd be on Indeed.com, anywhere I could go, hundreds of resumes all the time. Any job I could get for 4 or 5 years. I had no health insurance, no nothing, no barely paid rent, but I would be getting jobs. At that point, that's when I started to notice, like, if you could raise your rate, right? You're getting 2,000 a month from somebody. You're getting 2,000 a month from them. If you could build to like 4,000 a month, 5,000 a month, 6,000 a month, 7,000 a month, I started realizing that money is just like a number on a keyboard. It's like there's people who make 6 figures and they don't even do anything, but they've earned that position or they've gained the illusion that they're doing something or whatever that they do. Maybe they are really good at what they do. And I started like trying to build that where it's like, I wasn't like selfish, but at the same time, I was like, I don't want to be broke forever. So I'm thinking to myself, if you could like, I worked at certain industries. I'm not going to say where exactly, but I worked for an agency. They call it an ad agency. That's just what they call advertisements, where we had huge clients. We had clients that were like $1 million stuff. Everybody loves a government client because government has unlimited money and they have crazy big budgets because they just steal your money for their budgets. But in general, I started seeing the money flowing through and I was just like, oh my God, these people are paying millions of dollars and my company's not even doing anything. Like it's not me, but the company I worked for. So I started realizing like, how do I get that 2,000 to 4,000? How do I get that 4,000 to 6,000? And when it's like music royalties or Facebook royalties, if you're making 1,000 a month, it's like, how do I add a zero to that? How do I get 10,000 a month? How do I get 50,000? Like this is just what I was thinking in my head. Cause it's like at the end of the day, a lot of this stuff's just digital. It's like, you log into like Chase or Wells Fargo or whoever you bank with. And then it just like, it comes up and it's like, oh, I just got a direct deposit. So I started kind of trying to level up in every bit of my life. Like, how do I get better at this? So instead of $2,000, I can make $4,000. And then once I'm making $4,000, $5,000, how do I get $6,000? How do I gain my value? So people want to pay me $10,000 a month for this because that would be awesome, And things worked out, but that's kind of with my stuff now. I'm not like a greedy person, but if you're just struggling or going like day to day, it's like, this is a big game that everybody's playing in the world where some people go in with a tie and make 400,000 a year and they don't even do anything. So it's like, I'm not saying to do that because I don't think you should do nothing, but it's like, there's money everywhere. You know what I'm saying? There's potential everywhere. So you never level up unless you level up in your mind. Someone said God provides. I believe that's true. When you change your own life and you change your own mindset and you get right inside, God will provide, but God won't provide for you unless you make the internal change. I was always so me, but I wasn't good enough or I wasn't smart enough. So it never worked. Everything came to me when I was like, wait. It's not everybody else's fault. it's my fault. That's why the conservative mindset is so attractive in my elder years, because it's like, no, that's definitely how you win. You can't win if you're black and you listen to Democrats. That's how you lose. You can't win if you're white and you listen to Democrats. You hate yourself, you're self-loathing, you feel bad. That's like the opposite of how I became successful. That's the opposite of how Michael Jordan became successful. Nobody becomes successful unless you're like a whiny, annoying, you got to have the mentality of like, no, self accountability. How do I change? And once you change internally, God provides for you. So, when there's all this money flying around all the time, my thought was like, man, how do I get a small percentage of that? Or how, like if you have an audience of 1 million people, you know, I don't need to sell 1 million hats, right? If I could sell 1,000 hats and I make this much per hat, that's this much money. And I built that whole thing out just from the ground up. And now, I don't know how good it's going to do this year. I haven't done the math yet, but in general, it's like now I have a piece that no one can take away from me. They could take away my audience. They can make it hard to sell, but it's a lot harder for them to take this away from me than a Facebook or YouTube. And that's kind of my goal, is to build power so I don't have to listen to anybody. I don't have to work for anybody. And most importantly, I don't have to like bow down or compromise for anybody if I don't want to. That's where the power is. And it's not just power for me, it's power for you. They call it FU money for a reason. If you have FU money, it's not like, oh, I'm going to buy every car like Jay Leno. It's like, I don't have to work here. There's a different dynamic when you walk into a job interview and you need the money. I've been there. I need this job so bad because I have no job. I'll do whatever I got. 4,000, 3,000, 2,000, whatever I need. And then there's a different, and you walk in and you literally don't have that much time. Now, when I talk to people, like, I'm not faking the funk. I don't have time for this shit. So if you're not doing this and you're not giving me the freedom to do this, then I don't have the time for it. So FU money is a beautiful thing, not just to be wealthy and buy stupid shit you don't need. I don't do that. I save it, and I like to have the freedom. When I see my money, how many years could I get away with losing everything? If I lost everything, every Facebook, every YouTube, how long could I live off of what I have? That's freedom. It's not like, oh, I want $100,000 car. That's stupid. I'm not rich enough for that yet. But in general, if you have that money, you don't have to work for someone else. If you have a job that you don't like, having enough money to not do that job, that's the power behind the money. So it's like money can be time. It's not like, oh, I need a wallet that looks really fancy in a Gucci bag. Like, that's stupid. I mean, whatever. If you want to look fly, you look fly. It's not a big deal. But the real power in the money is like freeing up your time and freeing up your resources and being able to work for yourself or say yes and no to people. So I think that that's something that, everyone should work for, could work for. Even listening to people like Dave Ramsey, who's awesome, it's like if you have a skill, if you're a nurse, nurses are in high demand. Yeah, they could fire you in New Jersey or New York, and that's really shitty, and they shouldn't do that. But you have leverage too. You have a skill and a degree of some sort that they need, So it's good to have value in this world, in your job. And, nobody's loyal anymore. Companies aren't loyal. Corporations aren't loyal. They'll fire you in a second. They'll steal all your shit. They don't give a shit about anybody anymore. It's disgusting how evil they are. But it's like, you can't have full loyalty to a company that doesn't have loyalty to you. It's good to work hard for somebody. It's good to do your job, but always understand that, you want leverage or savings or something that you're not scrambling if something happens. It's always better to be safe, and it's always better to have some sort of leverage and know that if this doesn't work out, you can go over here and use your skill or your talent to do that. So it's always good, because it's, in this world, it's very difficult, and companies are less loyal than they've ever been. And, it's sad to see them bully people, and they get away with it because, people are susceptible because they need the money, or they need the position. So that's something. I know Dave Ramsey talks about being debt free. I think that's very smart. And then also like having a savings or, something that, it's time. That's what the real, like, money that's saved. Yeah, it's good to have it, right? You could buy stuff, but I'm not a very fancy person, if you've noticed. I'm not that interested in like shiny things and cars. That's not really interesting to me. What's interesting is like being free. I love that. So that's the blessing of having a savings. It's like I could pay this many years or this many months in rent and car payment. And if everything went to zero, which it never would because I'm not that lazy. But even if it went to zero, how long could you be able to do your own thing and figure out the next move? That's real power. Having the time and longevity to be able to, withstand any sort of storm. And that's what I'm excited about. That's why I don't buy fancy stuff. You see this doubles as my living room. I got that couch for $200. I got a beanbag. All this I bought, like, that's pretty cheap. Like, I bought that at not a garage sale, like a outdoor, like, trading thing for $100. I don't spend thousands of dollars on stuff. I could, I just find it a waste. I'd rather have that money and know that I could go take a trip with that. Like, why? I saw a jacket today and it was a $2,500 jacket. Listen, if I got 20 million in the bank or something, maybe I buy that jacket, but I'm like, it's not that nice. Yeah, it's nice, but it's not that nice. I'm not that rich. So I don't know. I'd rather I can't spend that much money on a jacket. It makes me want to throw up. I'd rather go somewhere else and get $150 jacket that looks the same and feels the same. Maybe it's not the same skin or something, but when you got money like Jerry Seinfeld or Jay Leno, then you could buy a bunch of cars and shit, but you got to have like $100 million to do that. Someone said, go for it. Anomaly, you're a good business person. God bless you for telling the truth. Well, thank you. I want to say this too. Inspiration wise, for anybody that does what I do or music, I don't know if there's a lot of people here or whatever, even a business, teach yourself every aspect of the business. This is one thing that helped me. I taught myself everything. I'm not a video editor. I don't like to edit videos. I do now because I just tell myself I like to get it done. I edit all of my videos. Every video you've ever seen from me, I edit. I'm the one sitting there doing everything. I didn't do it because I wanted to do it. I did it because I had to do it. How bad do you want to make it? How bad do you want your business or your store to survive and thrive? That's why I made it. I mean, you could think I'm talented or something, or like, yeah, I'm not an idiot. I definitely can speak and I'm a good poet, but I'm not a good poet because I'm a good poet. Yeah, some of it's probably genetic, but most of it's hard work. I've been doing poetry since I've been third grade. If I wasn't writing poems since third grade and doing rap since seventh grade, I wouldn't be good at rapping. It was a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of dedication. And that's true to most people in most crafts. Yes, talent and genetics matters quite a bit with certain things, but 90-something% of it's probably how much you want it, how bad you want it. So you can make it if you're lacking in other places. So for me, I taught myself how to edit. I taught myself how to record music. I taught myself how to do lighting. I do literally everything. I taught myself how to do social media. I worked in social media without a college degree because I had experience, and I had experience even though no one would hire me through marketing myself. And I had millions of views on YouTube when I was like 21, and that was decent enough to get my foot in the door at certain places. So it's like, I see a lot of people out here that are like lazy, or they think like, oh, well, I can't do it because I don't have a social media marketing person, or I can't do it, I don't have a video editor. And I'm like, I listen to this stuff and I'm like, if only you knew what I do. I do my own marketing, my own social media. So to me, it sounds like you're just lazy, So if you want to make it and your store isn't doing something, if you really want it bad enough, you'll teach yourself how to do it. As wicked of a company as YouTube is, it's also an amazing company. There's so many tutorials for everything. People think I listen to politics. I don't watch Fox News. I watch tutorials every day, every week. I'm watching tutorials how to play a song I want to play. I'm watching tutorials on how to start a retirement. I'm watching a tutorial how to do this, how to learn to do this, how to edit this. They got everything. You could learn from a freaking 15-year-old in Britain or some random kid. Like, they'll teach you everything you want to know. It's just how bad you want to do it. So that's my best advice. I don't know that anyone asked, but in general, if you want to make it and your business is lacking in a certain category, you got to do it, and if nobody's doing it for you, learn how to do it. And if you don't want to learn how to do it because you're too lazy or you think you're too busy, then you don't deserve to make it. I see, well, that must be easy for you. It's like, easy. It took me freaking 15 years to do this, and I didn't even mean to do this, but I just ended up here by mistake. But if I put in more work when I was 19 years old in that year from 19 to 20 than you put in your whole adult life, how in the world do you think you're going to make it when you make excuses for everything? So that's my best advice to an upcoming like content creator or musician. If you don't know how to mix and master your songs, you got to find someone who does. If you can't find someone who does and you can't find the right crowd, It's not everyone's fault. Learn how to mix and master your songs. If you can mix your own songs, master your own songs, and make your own beats, then no one can take that away from you. You know, you gotta do it all yourself. And then you could work with other people. But someone said we must learn business for sure. As a music artist, I never liked business. I'm not like this business savvy entrepreneur. I hated business. I said, screw money. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Like, it's all about my art. And then I worked at a grocery store, and I worked as an overnight stalker making like $10 an hour. And then I'm like, oh shit, if I don't have money, then I can't make music. You know, if I don't make money, I got to make money some other way because I got to pay bills. And that's when I realized I had to learn business. So the first 6 years of my life, the biggest mistake was I thought someone else would do business for me, or people would just hand me something. Nobody's going to hand you anything. That was a rude awakening. Well, I'm good, and I have a lot of views. No one gave a shit. And now I don't care. I'm like, oh yeah, no one gives a shit. That's fine. But I think that's worth knowing. You know, if you don't like business as an artist, or you better learn it. You know, because if you don't learn it, someone else is going to do it. And if someone else does it, they might not have your best interest at heart. So if you know how to do it, you can also monitor how other people are doing it. Because I know a lot in social media, I did a song with somebody and they used a certain company to put it out or distribute it or whatever. And I had a meeting with them and I listened to what they were saying. And I told my boy, I said, listen, no disrespect to this person, but they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And he's like, why do you think that? I'm like, bro, I worked in social media marketing for 8 years. So if you don't know business or social media, how are you going to know how to vet somebody unless they're your best friend or something? So I told him that. We ended up distributing with them, and they ended up doing nothing and screwing us over. And he was like, bro, you were right about that guy. And I'm like, I told you I wasn't doing it to be, you know, a dick or anything, but I know this whole field. I worked in it for 9 years and was pretty good. And I do it for myself. So I know a bullshitter when I hear one. You know, I know somebody who knows what they're talking about. And I'm very, you know, humble to be like, oh, that person's better than me, or knows more than me. Or they're really, and I also know a bullshitter. I'm like, this person does not know what they're talking about. So I, you know, if you knowing business or social media, it's not just good to do it for yourself. It's also good to know what you're talking about. So then you can, you know, vet other people that you want to work with. It's always good to have some sort of knowledge and information and whatever you're doing, or else people will take advantage of you. You know, contractors will take advantage of you. Workers will take advantage of you. Businesses will take advantage of you. And I'm not one to get taken advantage of. That's why some people don't like me, because I manage myself right now. So it's like I talk like a manager, even though I'm talking about myself, and that doesn't sound good. You know, it's kind of sounds rude sometimes, but I'm not a bullshitter. So it's like, you know, I put up a block real fast. I'm like, that's not going to work. Well, or you think you're this or that. I'm the business owner, and I'm the CEO, and I'm the I wear different hats. I'm sorry, dude. This is not like we're not playing tennis together, having a good time. Like you're throwing me a business offer, and it's not good. So it rubs off the wrong way sometimes, but I don't care. Someone said I learned a lot from you. Well, that's the goal of this. It's not just for me to talk about myself. I'm telling you this. Hopefully people listen, you know, and I learned this the hard way in many cases. I learned by doing it and screwing up. That's why I'm hoping I could save you a couple of years. And I also learned by listening to others. So combination of screwing up miserably and messing up, and also listening to way more successful people than myself explain things and you know, lay it out there. Thank you, Susie. I appreciate it. We want a full length album. Gonna have to wait. I gotta write this freaking book. Excuse my language. I got a book I gotta finish by Christmas, and I don't know if I'm going to, but I have to. So this whole year, this whole month is like book month. I got, like, after this book, I gotta write my book. Someone said you can't even make money in the market anymore. It's insane. The stock market is up crazy. I don't know. I mean, you must be invested in the wrong things. I'm not like a big stock advocate, but somebody's making money in the stock market. I mean, Tesla's way up. Facebook is up what it was. I remember Facebook was at 175. Now it's at like 330. It's almost double in a year. That's crazy. So, I mean, most ETFs are up. I don't know. Maybe you're talking about real estate, but the stock, somebody's making money in the stock market because everything's up. Someone said get into crypto. It's the future. Here's my thought about crypto. I have a little experiment. I'm glad you brought that up. I got some time today. It's all good. All right. How much here? I'm going to ask in the comment section, right? And I'll wait. How much is Bitcoin worth? How much is Bitcoin worth? Let me know in the comment section. How much is Bitcoin worth right now? 66K. Somebody said, someone said 0, 6,300, 62K. Right. Okay. Most people are telling me 63K, 65K. So I find it interesting. So listen, I'm not perfect. I got y'all. It's in the 60s. I'm not a Bitcoin hater and I'm not obsessed with it. I appreciate it for what it is and I hope it does well. But I find it funny that people tell me Bitcoin's the future, Bitcoin is this, and nobody tells me this. This was my experiment. And I'm not hating on you guys. Trust me. I've had Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Vetcoin. I've had every coin. Not every coin, but a lot of coins. Nobody told me how much Bitcoin was in Ethereum. You could have told me it was 20 something Ethereum. You could have told me how many Dogecoin it was or how many Litecoins it was. Everybody told me the value of Bitcoin in US dollars. I just find that fascinating. You could have told me how many Ethereum it was, but everybody that loves Bitcoin told me how much it was in US dollars. I just find that interesting because the real value of Bitcoin right now is not weighted against other coins. It's weighted against the US dollar, which means I'm not saying it's not dying or it couldn't die, but right now US dollar is king. And anybody that wants money in Bitcoin, they're eventually going to convert to US dollars because no one cares how many, I could have said it's 23 Ethereum right now. That would be if crypto was really, the leading thing right now, but it's still US dollar. And my thought is this, as somebody that has been heavily invested into crypto and somebody that likes it, if the stock market crashes, this is just my thought, right? This is just my thought. Say the stock market crashes or the inflation happens or something really bad happens where everyone needs their money. Are people going to keep their money in Bitcoin? Is Bitcoin going to surge? It might. Hear me out. It might surge. I hope it does. I hope everybody gets wildly rich in Bitcoin. But if there is some sort of big thing that happens that everyone needs their money, my thought is everyone's going to pull it out of Bitcoin and Ethereum and Dogecoin because they're going to need to use that money. And 99.9% of stores right now are not accepting Bitcoin or Ethereum. And everybody who uses it, they weight against the dollar in order to tell you that it has value. So I think if there is some sort of big move, people are going to pull their money out of crypto to use it, and then it's going to tank. And I'm not trying to wish that on it or think that on it. I've had a lot of money in it, way more than I probably should have. But in general, I'm out of it for now. And I still root for it. But in general, I don't think that if America crashes and everybody needs their money, I don't think they're going to want to keep it in Bitcoin because at a certain point, nobody's really using it right now. That might change. People might use it, but I think people are going to want, someone said don't manifest it. I'm just having a conversation. People are going to want wood and bullets and water and toilet paper. And most of that are being bought in US dollars right now and not in crypto. That could change. This could all change, but I don't know. People think it's going to spike if something happens, and it could because of inflation. I hope it does, but I could also see it tanking because people are going to have to take their money out in order to buy something tangible, which you just can't do with crypto right now. So I like it. It's interesting, but two things in my head. I do think it's funny when you ask someone how much it's worth. They'll never tell you how much it's worth in Ethereum or Dogecoin. They'll tell you how much it's worth in US dollar. And also, if it tanks, it could go up. It's a gamble. It could spike. It could go to 250,000 and now you're a multimillionaire, or it could go way down because nobody can buy anything in it. And when times get tough, you're going to want, toilet paper and water and not Dogecoin. I say this as somebody that owned a lot of Dogecoin at one point, but I don't know. It could go either way. I hope it revolutionizes the financial system and makes it better. But I'm skeptical of it. But I'm not a full blown like I'm not like Peter Schiff where I'm like gold, gold, gold. It's all about gold. I'm like sure. I like both sides, but I'm not like a hater. But I'm not obsessed over Bitcoin. I think anything that's digital, like including banks. I mean, banks are digital online. I'm not saying the U.S. dollar is not this. I'm not shilling for the US dollar. I'm just saying, anything that's digital and speculative and not being used for that much, I don't know. I don't think it's like that safe or that, a surefire bet, but we'll see. That's just my thoughts from left field. Someone said crypto's in its infancy. It's a great investment is all I'm saying. Well, I think that's clearly true over the last couple of years. I had 2 Bitcoins when it was at $600. I owned 2 Bitcoins for $1,200 when I was broke. And then I sold them. I should have kept them, right? They'd be up to $60,000 and my $1,200 investment could have been $130,000. I mean, I would have made a killing. Those type of gains are not found anywhere. You can't find gains like that. So you're right. I should have held and sold now. And then I also had at one point, I had 1.5 million Dogecoin. I would have been a Dogecoin millionaire, but I sold when it was like a cent or, it was really cheap. I had literally 1.5 million Dogecoins. I blew that too. I could have waited till it went up to 50 cents and I would have had almost $1 million in Dogecoin. I blew that as well. So I've blown it multiple times with the coins. I'm not saying it's not a good investment and it's not a good gamble, but I'm just saying as far as the future, patience is good. And clearly I don't have it and I lost a lot of money not being patient. But I would say, this idea that it's totally not totally safe and totally the future, I could easily see, a crash happening in America and people pulling their money out because you can't use it really for anything and tanking. That's just, I'm not wishing that. I could just see that as an investor. Someone said I made $200K a year this year on rental houses. Property and renting it properly is a power move. If you have the patience, time, and resources in mind to do that, yeah, that's huge. Why would I do that? Why would I do what? I don't know what you mean. Someone said gold and silver is queen. Yeah, I'm interested in it. I think I think this is a fun time financially because nothing is for certain, right? It's equally frightening and crazy. The real estate market feels like it's at a bubble, but maybe it's not, maybe it is. The US dollar has never seemed less safe. Stocks are up, but they could go down always. I would say crypto is volatile in itself, gold and silver, maybe. There's never been a time like this that nothing seems for certain. Maybe I'm just living in it and it feels that way, but let me know if you're older and you've lived through America. It feels like there is no safe bet anymore and everything's as risky. I would say maybe that works in crypto's favor, right? Because, it's not just crypto that's risky. Everything's risky. So, the safe bet's not safe anymore. The safe job's not safe anymore. It's equally exciting and it's equally frightening. It's like if you have money, sometimes you just want to safely put it somewhere, but it's not safe to keep it in the savings. That's not safe at all. You're losing money every day. It's not safe in the stock market. It's not safe in real estate. And it's certainly not safe in crypto. So I feel like it's exciting and frightening because I would love to do something that was like a sure bet, but that's gambling. That's life. I guess there is no sure bet in any of this stuff. Someone said not all crypto is blockchain. Yeah, I don't know if that's true. Someone said fences are a good investment. I do like anything that's tangible, like a house, things that you can hold and enjoy in real life. I think that's pretty cool. That's my favorite. Someone said Shiba Inu is a safe bet anomaly, not financial advice. I wouldn't say it's safe, but the gains on Shiba Inu are enormous. I had Sanshu coin. I had Fake coin. I'll give you all the coins I've had in my life. I've had Sanshu coin. I've had trillions of them. I had Feg coin. I had Bonfire coin. I had Litecoin at one point. I had Ethereum. I had Bitcoin. I had Vetcoin. I had VThor. I've had coins. I'm not a hater. I wouldn't say it's safe, but it definitely, if you had Shiba 4 years ago or 3 years ago or a year ago, and you still have Shiba now, you could sell it and make a killing. So yeah, it's doing well, but we'll see. I don't know. It could times 100. It could go down times 20. I don't know. We'll see. Someone said, sell my diamonds. I'm not telling anybody what to do. This is not financial advice. This is not crypto advice. This is not sell your diamonds advice. I want nothing to do. I'm just speaking out loud. I'm just being honest. I think no one knows where things are going, but everybody thinks they do. So someone's got to be right, right? Maybe the crypto people are right. Maybe the gold people are right. Maybe the real estate people are right. I'm humble in this category. I don't know. I'm a learner. I like to roll the dice, but I can't say I feel really strongly about anything right now, and it's interesting. Someone said Pokemon cards. Pokemon cards are making a killing. If you got the right cards or the right box set, sheesh, people are making millions on Pokemon. And Pokemon's it's a whole industry. There's YouTubers making millions a year talking about Pokemon, opening Pokemon cards, doing giveaway Pokemon cards. It's crazy. I mean, the gaming industry is wild. They are making a fortune. And it's easy to make money there if you have a following, because everybody wants to sponsor you. With me, it's like, yo, don't sponsor that guy's, with gaming, put a controller in their hand, pay him 100,000. Sheesh. Sometimes I wish I was a gamer. I would make way more money. Are you kidding me? If I had this following with a gamer, sheesh, it would be a wrap. But now I'm dodging left and right. Nobody, it's all good though. I enjoy what I'm doing, but man, gaming is a cash cow right now. Someone said China just shut down crypto because they can't control it. Yeah, I mean it's a competing currency. I mean it's a big deal. Regardless of how well it ends up working out, it's a huge deal. It's a game changer. I'm not a hater. It's interesting. It's a game changer. It'll be interesting to see what they do with it. Overall, what the elites want to do with it or try to do with it. Someone said there's no way to hide transactions on a blockchain. This is what the IMF wants. I'm not a fan of, I like cash and I don't like coins that much, but it's creepy when you give someone cash and they say, oh, I don't want it. I don't want the cash. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't want the cash? Oh, we don't accept cash. I don't like that. Ever since the Great Reset lockdown, a lot of places are not accepting cash. I'm not a fan of that, honestly. I don't think that's an improvement. I think that's a sneaky, the digitalization is not ideal. It's, they want to track your bank account. I think there's something there for sure. If you use Monero or something, I guess you could hide it maybe. But as far as most cryptos, they're completely transparent and everyone can see them, right? If they're big transfers. Someone said in Europe, some places take Bitcoin. Well, there's places that take it here. You can eat at certain stores with crypto, I think, but it's very few and far between. Hey, it could grow. I mean, a lot of big people are in it. Tom Brady likes it. A lot of wealthy people are getting into it. It's a great gamble. I'm just giving you both sides. I'm not obsessed with it, and I'm not a hater. I'm somebody who's invested in it quite a bit. I probably broke even maybe overall, which is my fault for selling at the wrong times. But I think if I'm just being realistic, if a huge crash in America happens, I don't see how a lot of people don't pull their money out of crypto. But maybe they don't. I don't know. Who knows? Someone said invest in organic food and herbs, anything organic. If you can find something that's truly organic, I don't know the profit margin or whatever, but I think that's very valuable to have organic food or organic seeds that aren't all jacked up by like GMO bullshit. that's probably huge. All right. I'm gonna take off, folks. That was fun. I appreciate the diversion, the financial stuff at the end. I think that's interesting. It's not talked about a lot, but definitely very fascinating. I hope all you guys, I wish you luck in your investments. I wish you luck in your job and everything. And hopefully everybody, despite the chaos, had a good year and has a better next year. So appreciate y'all. Have a good day. And once again, I'll check again real quick, but and I'm not saying this because honestly, I wish I had more, but the black beanies are about to sell out. And when they're done, they're done. And everything I bought, there's less of that. But if at godblesshats.com and dreamrare.com, everything I bought's a finite amount. And as far as all the winter stuff, I'm not going to purchase more. Like I said, I'm just being honest. I spent 30 grand on all this stuff. I bought quite a bit of everything. And once it runs out, I think we had 250 of like each design. There's 33 hats left in stock still. But once they run out, like with the hoodies, some of them we have like 200 left. Some of them we have under 100. The tank tops are at 31 and 37 left. But it's winter, so people don't really buy tank tops. But in general, if you want a sweatshirt, those are a finite amount. The hats, we could buy more. So that the white hats are not going to run out, but all the winter stuff, the beanies are almost gone, and the sweatshirts, at this pace, everything's going to be gone before Christmas. And I'm not buying more. It was cool for what it was. I like it, but I buy them in bulk. I don't do drop shipping. So I'm probably that's going to be it for the winter. That was the winter buy. So get it. And they're starting to ship next week. The Dream Rare sweatshirts are going to ship the following week. And after that, they should ship out pretty quickly. But that's just what it is. Appreciate y'all. Have a good one. I'll be back soon.